that description, because it's amazing. A clean sweep of Premier League clubs. Who'd have thought it?
Well, yes, I mean, who would have thought it? Certainly, obviously, Liverpool being down as they were, they had obviously the backing of the home, the Anfield crowd, but it still needed an absolutely incredible performance and a set of circumstances, and you need everything to go your way. And they were absolutely terrific. You've got to take your hat off to them. Brilliant. They needed moments of inspiration. They got that, whether it was, Origi stepping up, whether it was Alexander-Arnold being really bright and clever. To recover from such a deficit against such a side like Barcelona, you need everything to go your way. And obviously they worked terrifically hard, and they'd done that. I mean, that was superb. And it actually then seemed to set up Tottenham. That was the team talk, wasn't it, when they went down?
Yeah,
I was looking at the game. I was at TalkSport, and it was on, we were doing a chat show, and we were looking at it. And obviously, Ajax went 1-0 up, and to me, that shouldn't have been allowed. It looked like a block on De Ligt, and you think, this is going to be difficult. Then another goal, you think, right, this is written off. And, again, for them to come back at half-time, I mean, I heard the Premier League, and that's the standard. That's where the bar is now for these sides. Now, whether it's they're the best in Europe because they've got the most money, or, we can debate that another day. But certainly the English side seem to be now certainly on a crest of a wave and up there with the very best teams in Europe.
Well, they are, clearly.
They are, yeah. Now, whether they can... What I mean is, are they there by virtue of the money, or, or is there something... Like, for example, Ajax, haven't invested 300, 400 or 500 million like the English sides have. So it would be good if those English teams can stay up there, by virtue of their good play, as well as obviously all the money. I mean, Tottenham haven't spent that.
No.
Hopefully it'll be a combination, not just money, but good coaching, good recruitment, everything else, that they're not only seen as being up there just by virtue of the amount of money that's actually pumped into them.
Liverpool and Spurs, of course, featured in a dramatic Premier League game not so long ago when Toby Alderweireld's late own goal handed Liverpool all 3 points. How's it going to go, this one, do you think? It's very difficult, I think, to predict European ties involving two English clubs, isn't it? I mean, ultimately they know each other well, but it's a different setting, it's a different background, it's a final. Hard to predict, I would say. Very hard. I mean, on their day, will Kane be fit? If he is, then that would be a huge boost. Should they play him if fit? Because I remember, was it 5 years ago, Atletico Madrid gambled on the fitness of Diego Costa, didn't they? And it did backfire against Real Madrid. And I think if Kane is fit, he will play. Certainly, he's got to play if he's fit. So, but he's not played for so long to come straight into a European final. That won't face. But that won't face Pochettino or Kane. I mean fitness-wise rather than mentally. Even fitness-wise, he'll have more than enough to cope with that if he is going to be fit. I think he's vitally important for them. It'll be a terrific game, a one-off game, which it's so hard to predict now. But it looks really, really exciting, brilliant, and I guess it's also what's interesting now coming out is what Pochettino's saying. If you've got that bubbling up there in terms of could be my last. It could be his last game. Yeah, brilliant, because he has achieved something that I think is up there with the best achievements, reaching a Champions League final with that team, the amount of money they've invested, basically no signings. It's been a wonderful achievement, and it's great to see him coming out actually fighting a little bit, saying, come on then, Levy, you come and back me, otherwise I'm off. What about Chelsea against Arsenal? That's a peculiar one, a London derby, nearly 1,500 miles away on the very edge of Europe. It's on the banks of the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan. It borders with Iran. It's almost in the Middle East. It's not the best trip for the two sets of fans, but again, same applies, I suppose. Not only this one. This is a London derby.
I mean, look, Arsenal have got goal scorers for fun in them, haven't they? Aubameyang's still trying to get the golden boot, as is obviously Aguero here, just behind Salah with 22. But they score goals for fun. Lacazette, Aubameyang, so they're going to be a handful. I guess defensively, you might question Arsenal, that are they going to keep a clean sheet, or you think that they're going to give up chances. It's just whether Chelsea have got the players to capitalise them in their ranks going forward. Look, as I said, I've seen Chelsea in the Europa League, covered them. They've had to play about 10 games to play anyone decent. On their day, they should win this tie for me, Chelsea, because on their day they are brilliant. But I just think that Arsenal have got a lot of goal scorers, so it'll be a really evenly matched game.
Yeah, well, we've got all that to look forward to, but in the meantime, it's the Premier League. We're focusing, of course, on Brighton against Manchester City. City need to win to clinch the title for a sixth time in the club's history, but a second in a row. That would be the first title retention since Manchester United 10 years ago. We'll also be keeping an eye. And of course, there are 8 other Premier League games being played today, and we'll be getting team news and previews from all of those in just a moment. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Alderweireld again to return it. Mo Salah in space, heads it goalwards. Oh, Lloris has missed it. It's gone in. Off Alderweireld, I think, for the own goal. Liverpool back in front with 30 seconds of the 90 minutes to play. Scenes of jubilation, of celebration, of relief more than anything at Anfield. Somehow they have found a way.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
He's knockout for Brighton, edge of the area, on his left foot. Curling one. Oh, it's a stunner! Anthony Knockout gives Brighton the lead again. In a goal that will be played time and time again. There can't have been too many better hits in this derby over the years. It flies into the top corner, and Matt Ryan flies down the pitch to join in the celebration.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
It's Ward-Prowse! It's in! It's magnificent from James Ward-Prowse. He, like Valeri, has scored for the second game running. It's another magnificent free kick. Hazard into the corner. What a goal from Eden Hazard. That was brilliant from the Belgian. Chelsea have huffed and puffed, and out of nowhere, an inkling, a tiny gap in the corner, sent a low curling effort beyond Patricio into the left corner of the net. That is brilliant from the little maestro.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back. We're half an hour from discovering the destiny of the Premier League title, with Manchester City about to kick off in the sunshine at Brighton, and Liverpool up at Anfield waiting to face Wolves. Let me just remind you of the team news from the game that we're covering here today. If you've just come in, Manchester City make just one change. It's in midfield, where Riyad Mahrez is preferred to Phil Foden. 2 changes for Brighton. Again, their midfield changes. Baram Kayal replaces Dale Stephens, who's not in the squad, so we assume he's injured, and Anthony Knockaert comes in. He's preferred to Yves Bissouma. But let's get some team news from the all-important game at Anfield in just a moment. But first, we'd like to hear from the 2 managers, of course, ahead of this big one. Wolves, incidentally, are guaranteed 7th place. Liverpool could get first. Let's hear from Jurgen Klopp and Nuno Espirito Santo.
from our point of view, if there could be a big football moment for us as well on the weekend, it would be nice. The week is not over yet, so it's Sunday counts to this week, not to next week. So of course we go for that. But we that's the only, nothing changed really. We knew it before. It's all good. I think most of the people expected me to sit here today and say, okay, after not being in the Champions League final now, it's pretty difficult to become champion. Now we are in the Champions League final. It's still difficult to be champion.
I think this is what is important. How we did it, how we compete, how we play. Who we did it, did our fans enjoy it? So all these things is what measures, and the improvement of the team, I think, was natural and obvious.
Two managers who've had fantastic seasons in their differing ways, but whereas Brighton have clinched 7th place, Liverpool haven't clinched the title by any means yet. Our man watching the game, I'm delighted to say, is Russ Hargreaves.
Yeah, John, thanks a lot. So Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp, first of all, making 2 changes to the side that knocked Barcelona out of the Champions League in such fairy tale fashion. Premier League's Golden Boot front runner Mohamed Salah is back from the concussion he picked up at Newcastle, and after his brilliant brace against Barca, Gini Wijnaldum starts in midfield. It's James Milner and Xherdan Shaqiri, the players who drop down to the bench. All means that Andy Robertson and skipper Jordan Henderson are fit despite injury niggles. It's Alisson in goal, a back four of Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Matip and Van Dijk. It's Fabinho alongside Henderson and Wijnaldum in midfield, Origi, Salah and Mane up front. Liverpool bench, Lovren, Milner and Gomez, Sturridge, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Mignolet and Shaqiri. As for Wolves, their boss Nuno Espirito Santo naming an unchanged starting lineup for a 15th time this season. That's a Premier League lead, and it's just pipped Burnley to that accolade, funnily enough. It's the same 11 that beat Fulham 1-0 last weekend for a 3rd straight win. Rui Patricio in goal, wing-backs Matt Doherty and Johnny Otto, 3 centre-halves in Bolly, Cody and Bennett, then Duncan Martinho and Neves in midfield, and then that dangerous pair up front of Raul Jimenez and Diogo Jota.
What's the mood like at Anfield then? I mean, obviously there'll be nerves will be shredded throughout the 90 minutes, I'm sure. How confident are Liverpool fans that maybe Brighton might do them a little favour?
Not massively, I have to say. I think pride about the season that's gone so far, John, in Europe and domestically. Defiance, I think, as well, and that badge of honour that Liverpool fans wear so proudly. Delirium may yet happen, you never know, but it just depends so much where you are at the Amex as to whether it's going to happen. Shouldn't forget, though, this is such a tough game in its own right. Wolves, most points for a newly promoted team since Ipswich in 2001, and whatever, John, happens to Liverpool this season, they're going for a first Premier League title, we know that, since 1990, but 8 league games in a row they've won, 16 unbeaten. It's just an incredible campaign they've had. They've won the last 4 head-to-head in the Premier League as well, by the way, so I think they'll do it, but deep down the feeling, I think, honestly, is it won't be enough, but there will be so much pride at what's happened, and so much momentum still, of course, ahead of June the 1st in the Champions League final.
You say that, but I mean, you know, if they don't win the title with 97 points, I mean, they might begin to think, will we ever win? It's been nearly 30 years, so they're going to be deflated, aren't they, even though they've got the Champions League to look forward to.
I think the way they look at it, John, is they're closing the gap. City won by 19 points last season, and they've got probably in all likelihood 2 less in the end with 98. Liverpool streets ahead of where they were. I think that's how they have to look at it, isn't it? They've gone deeper than City into the Champions League, as we know. They've got a slightly smaller squad of truly top players. I think that's where it's really been decided, if it is. You think about those draws against, West Ham and Leicester just after the turn of the year, plus the City defeat. That was the period where Liverpool just lost ground from 7 points ahead. Aside from that, before it and after it, they've been absolutely outstanding. Probably 3 or 4 squad players of top note just behind where City are, and if anything, that's cost them. Maybe they can address that with 2 or 3 more big signings in the summer.
Great stuff, Russ. Thanks very much. Personal battle between us, of course, to see who'll be commentating on the trophy lifting later on. Will it be me or will it be Russ? Well, that's a bit of a sideshow. Anyway, let's go to the next game that we're covering this afternoon. We've got all of them covered for you as ever. It's Burnley against Arsenal. A danger a few months ago that Burnley might face the drop. Arsenal have had a disappointing season, although of course they've reached that final in the Europa League. Let's hear from Sean Dyche and Unai Emery.
You don't want it, ideally, to end up a kind of, fighting to get over the line and pushing every game to get over the line. But that's been the kind of season it's been this season. And, I've mentioned many times every season's a restart for us, and this one's been a big season for different reasons, and we have come through it, and I'm very pleased with that, pleased for the club, and very proud of the players.
Really very proud of the players, very proud of our mentality in this competition. The last two rounds against Napoli and against Valencia, really we took a big performance collectively and individually.
Our man watching this one at Turf Moor is Adam Inker, and Adam's got the team news for us.
Yeah, if it was the end of year school report, the teachers' comments you feel will be very similar for both of these two sides. Didn't achieve their expected grades, could do better. Arsenal start today with a very slim chance of achieving a top 4 finish. They are 3 points behind Spurs. There's an 8-goal swing too. Only 2 of those starting today started for the Gunners on Thursday night against Valencia. That's Aubameyang and Monreal. Headline news is that 19-year-old Joe Willock makes his first Premier League start of the season. Torreira is out. Xhaka, Koscielny and Lacazette are all on the bench for Burnley. Dwight McNeil is back in the 11.
And I mean, you look at Arsenal's season, I personally think that there shouldn't be too much panic. Unai Emery was brought in at a period where the Wenger era had kind of fizzled out into not very much, and he's got a rebuilding process, and he's taken them to a European final, so not too much doom and gloom really for Arsenal fans if they're just being realistic about the situation.
I feel the same as you, to be honest with you. I think they're in a period of transition, and actually there are a lot of positives to take from the players that they've brought in. They seem to have a very good spine with Leno and Torreira. Torreira for me is the player that Arsenal have needed for such a long period of time, and then you've got that partnership between Lacazette and Aubameyang. But if you speak to most Arsenal fans, they will say the same thing, that this season has been a failure and will be judged as a failure unless they go on to win in the Europa League final.
Yeah, you're probably right. Thanks very much indeed, Adam. We'll be keeping an eye on that one. Of course, next up we'll concentrate on matters at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace have had a very good end to the season under Roy Hodgson. They've long since banished their relegation woes. Bournemouth, they just look every inch a Premier League side now under Eddie Howe, don't they? Let's hear from those two men ahead of this one at Crystal Palace.
Full of admiration for the players. I'm full of admiration for the work. We didn't have a good start. The first 13 games we were, pretty much looking over our shoulder all the time and being concerned about relegation. I think we only took 8 points from the first 13 games, which of course is not a good result at all. But if we take the next 25 games or 24 games from there, I think it's been quite incredible.
Tough season for loads of different ways this year in the Premier League. As I said, the quality's been so high, and the games against the top teams have been ever more difficult, and I think that will continue.
Pretty much looking over
to be the way, but we've hung in there. We've had our ups and downs throughout the season, but it'd be great to end on a high note.
Two mid-table sides then meeting. Watching this one for us this afternoon will be Martin Hopkins. What's the team news?
Both sides will be looking for the victory this afternoon.
All the time and being concerned about relegation. I think we only took 8 points from the first 13 games, which of course is not a good result at all. But if we take the next 25 games or 24 games from there, I think it's been quite incredible.
Tough season for
their best ever Premier League points tallies. Palace boss Roy Hodgson makes 2 changes to the side that beat Cardiff last weekend. Coming into the starting 11, Patrick Van Arnholt and Max Meyer dropping out, Scott Dan and Jordan Ayew. Opponents Bournemouth will be looking to do the double over Palace this season. Boss Eddie Howe goes with the same starting 11 that beat Tottenham last time out. That means teenager Mark Travers continues in goal after his fine performance last week is Crystal Palace.
Premier League, as I said, the quality's been so high.
versus Bournemouth on Premier League Live.
Martin, my thanks to you. We'll have goal updates throughout from that one. Let's move on now to Fulham against Newcastle. One team stayed up, one didn't, unfortunately. But Fulham have shown enough guts and gusto recently. Under Scott Parker to hand him the job on a permanent basis. So let's hear from him, and of course also from the man who kept Newcastle up, Rafa Benitez.
I know how things work. I know the daily dynamics of the team. I know the daily dynamics of the whole football club. I know where improvements need to be made. I know where we can improve and move this club forward. So that's going to help me and put me on the front foot.
Yeah, it's exactly the same line, and I will tell you, and these people at the back, they will listen to me, so hopefully they will ask me the same question. We will have a meeting for sure, and then we will let you know when we have any information, but still we have to concentrate on the next game.
Well, congratulations to Scott Parker, the permanent manager of Fulham. Whether Rafa Benitez will be the permanent manager of Newcastle next season perhaps remains to be seen. Let's get the team news with our man watching this one, who is Barry Sway.
Well, good afternoon, John. Fulham this week named Scott Parker as their new manager. Like you say, the longer-term assurances over Rafa Benitez would be welcome for the most part on Tyneside. This could yet be the Spaniards' last match in charge at Newcastle United. Relegated Fulham made two changes. Alfie Mawson, who got injured around about Christmas time doing up his bootlace, is back for his first start of 2019. The informed Ryan Babel Floyd Ayiti is the man coming in to replace him. Newcastle also make two changes. They give two starts to two forgotten men. John Joe Shelvey is drafted in, as is Mo Diarmi. Two 19-year-olds on the bench, Kellen Watts and Lewis Cass. Today's referee, by the way, Kevin Friend. It's not his final duty of the season. He'll be taking charge of the FA Cup final next weekend.
Yes, indeed, we got that for you. Manchester City against Watford from Wembley. Just a quick word about Scott Parker, Barry. I think it's a popular and sensible decision. Would you agree?
I think so, yes. I think they've bided their time, Fulham, to see if there's anyone else more suitable for the job. They've decided that Scott had a difficult start. He lost the first, 7 games, was it? But it was a tough spell for him. He's won 3 of the last 4. He's finished the season strongly. They seem unified now. They're better than they've been all season. And they've taken a punt on him. And, they'll be one of the strong teams, I'm sure, in the Championship next season.
Yeah, best of luck to Fulham. We won't be seeing them on Premier League Live next season, but who knows, maybe the one after. We'll certainly be seeing Leicester and Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, who will play Arsenal in that Europa League final after overcoming Eintracht Frankfurt on penalties in midweek. Leicester beaten by Manchester City, courtesy of that screamer from Vincent Kompany. Let's get the thoughts ahead of that one of Brendan Rodgers and Maurizio Sarri.
We have a responsibility to the supporters to fight for every result. We have a responsibility to ourselves because of what we're trying to build and create, and that means that from the very first whistle of the season to the end you have to fight and you have to push, and that will be the same idea.
It will be very difficult for Sunday, but we need to consider that our best match, in my opinion, was here in Stamford Bridge against Tottenham, 3 days after 120 minutes in the cup final against Manchester City. Of course, now it's more difficult, I think, because as you know, we played 61 matches, and so it's very difficult.
Well, the jury's still out on Maurizio Sarri. Our man at the stadium in Leicester is Ian St Peters.
Brendan Rodgers names the same team that narrowly lost 1-0 to Manchester City on Monday, with Danny Simpson and Shinji Okazaki on the bench for what should be the last time, as both are being released at the end of the season. Europa League finalist Chelsea, aiming to hold on to third spot in the Premier League after the penalty shootout win against Frankfurt on Thursday. And the big news from the King Power, John, is that Eden Hazard, who we believe, if you believe the rumours are true, will be playing his last Premier League game for Chelsea today. He is named as one of 6 changes on the bench.
Well, my personal opinion, I think he probably has played his last game for Chelsea. I think he's Real Madrid bound. But, I mean, if he does leave Chelsea, his last kick at Stamford Bridge was a penalty to take them into a European final. He certainly won't be on the bench for that. So he's still got quite a lot to give.
Absolutely, so I'll just go through the rest of the changes.
Sorry,
that's okay, it's fine. Willie Caballero, David Zappacosta, Marcos Alonso, Ross Barkley and Gonzalo Higuain plus Pedro are all in the team, with Kepa Arrizabalaga, Olivier Giroud, Matteo Kovacic and Andreas Christensen and Emerson. They are taking their places on the bench. And as you mentioned, the other big news, of course, is this could well possibly also be Maurizio Sarri's last game in charge in the Premier League at Chelsea. Well, we shall see. Probably if he gives them a trophy. He's took them to 2 finals. He hasn't done too badly. My thanks to you, Ian. Let's move now to Old Trafford. This is potentially the sort of doom and gloom fixture of this season, isn't it? Manchester United have had an awful campaign in which Jose Mourinho was sacked. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a wonderful honeymoon period, which has since dropped off a little bit. And Cardiff City, of course, have been relegated. Nonetheless, let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and indeed from Neil Warnock.
Well, I think I've been quite honest that challenging for the title next year would be a miraculous season, because we're so far behind at the moment, points-wise. So next season, it's going to have to be we've got to get to close that gap. If we manage to get to February, March and being close, that's fantastic. If not, this summer will also be about players that could last here for many years. Yes.
To now be in my 40th year is I just find it incredible, really. And I think the best thing for me is I think I've made people that have the fans that have been managed clubs, I think I've made them happy and give them memories and things what you can't put a price on, really, which is, I think that's what you're in management for, really.
There aren't too many crumbs of comfort to be drawn from either of these two teams, but let's get the team news ahead of it from Dan Wheeler.
Well, while they watch their nearest and not so dearest fight out the title, the 2 major European Cup finals and a top 4 finish, Manchester United must contemplate a summer of reflection and major reconstruction. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer makes 5 changes for the final game. Dalot, Pereira, Smalling, Lingard come in, and there's a full Premier League debut for the exciting forward Mason Greenwood. Pogba starts, Sanchez and Matic not in the 18, Valencia set for a farewell from the bench. Already relegated Cardiff make 2 changes. On loan Victor Camarasa hasn't recovered from injury and he's out. Bakuna and Zohora both start.
So Manchester United already look as if they're looking ahead, planning the future with a summer to go. Mason Greenwood's an interesting inclusion. I think I'm right in saying he might be their youngest Premier League scorer if he scores. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You might be right there, John. He scored 30 goals across the season in various age groups this year, so he's certainly one for the future, and certainly one that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rates and wants to have a look at. Gomez and Garner also on the bench for him as well today to maybe bring on. They've got a reputation, of course, of blooding young players, particularly on the last day. They've all tasted Premier League football, of course, before, but Greenwood starts for the first time, and Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer face, well, their most important summer for a generation, don't they?
They do indeed. Mason Greenwood featured in a cameo, didn't he, in the game against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, but he gets a chance today. Let's turn our thoughts to just further along the south coast from here. Southampton, who survived against Huddersfield, who did not. The managers are Jan Sievert And for Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl first.
Huddersfield is a team that plays without pressure. We do now also, and I think it can be a spectacular game. I think if those teams play fresh and offensive, and that can be, then it can be an interesting game. I would like to join it as a supporter. I think
we all learned a lesson this season, but what I can say once more, when you look at the home game, it was positive because we are relegated and we showed such a fight against Man United. This shows how this club, or what this club is about.
Team news ahead of this one is with Andrew Self.
Well, Mark Hughes started, Ralph Hasenhüttl finished in charge at Southampton. The Saints faithful have had a season of struggle which has ultimately ended in successfully staving off relegation. Doesn't feel right though if you're a Saints fan to celebrate this undistinguished achievement, but just over a length of a football pitch away, the Terriers fans would dearly love to be in the Southampton shoes. Ralph Hasenhüttl was hurt by his side's 3-0 loss at West Ham last time out, and he's made 4 changes to that lineup, with Angus Gunn back in goal, Nathan Redmond coming in, Ore Romeo and James Ward-Prowse returning in place of Fraser Foster, Mario Lemina and Stuart Armstrong, who dropped to the bench. Mohamed El Yunusi misses out altogether. Jan Sievert's Huddersfield side managed a creditable 1-1 draw at home with Manchester United. He has made 3 changes to that lineup, with Joel Coleman going in goal, John Stankovic and Tommy Smith coming in for Jonas Lussel, who drops to the bench, with Chris Lowe and Eric Durm missing out altogether.
My thanks to you, Andrew. I agree. Oriol Romeu is one of the harder ones to say. I struggle with that one as well. Let's go to North London now. Tottenham Hotspur having sensationally clinched their berth in the Champions League final, round off their domestic campaign with a home game against Everton. We have what a week he's had, Mauricio Pochettino and Marco Silva.
We are in a moment living a dream, and it's difficult to be on the reality, but of course it's our responsibility to create that atmosphere, that the competition, because Sunday is an important day for us, and I think to be ready is our first priority, and of course to finish in the right way in front to our fans.
It's one of the things we didn't do this season. Of course we break some good numbers, because many times you ask me about numbers against top 6, not just against top 6. This season we didn't beat one of them away. Is one more opportunity for us to do and to show quality and to prove we can do that the next Sunday.
So what does Tottenham's team look like after the exertions of Wednesday night? Richard Wolfenden will tell us.
Well, cheers, John. Many people were expecting a raft of youth players coming into the starting 11 today for Spurs, but that's not the case. Pochettino names probably the strongest 11 available to him today. However, suspensions and injuries mean that Spurs make 5 changes to the side that won in Amsterdam in midweek. Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, Kyle Walker-Peters, Eric Lamela and Fernando Llorente come in, the latter of which is winning his 100th career app in English football. Everton also have injury concerns, with Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Seamus Coleman all missing out today, with former Arsenal winger Theo Walcott playing out on the right for Everton this afternoon.
Thanks, Richard. Watford will have an FA Cup final to look forward to. It's 6 days from today. They take on Manchester City. Today they take on West Ham United in the last game of the season at Vicarage Road. Let's hear from Javi Gracia and from Manuel Pellegrini.
It's important for the confidence, because if you finish playing well, I think is a good preparation for the last game, for the FA Cup final.
Important for me, as high as you can finish at the table, it will be better of the club, because it's if you compare with the last season, you improve. As much you improve in one season, of course I will be better.
West Ham finishing the season strongly, Watford less so, but of course they've got that cup final to look forward to. They won't want to pick up any injury problems, but I gather, Ian Brown, they've named quite a strong team.
Yes, as you say, 6 days from now Watford will be engaged in that FA Cup final, and true to his word, head coach Javi Gracia is not resting any of his key players and makes only 2 changes from the defeat at Chelsea. Player of the season Etienne Capoue is fit and comes in for Chalobah in midfield, and Cavaceles starts at the back with Mariappa on the bench. bench. Foster is in goal, though Gomez is expected to line up at Wembley. West Ham's aim today is to take Watford's precious place in the top half of the table. Victory here would do it. They have both Declan Rice and Felipe Anderson returning after illness, which kept them out of the win over Southampton, and they come in for Obiang and Diangana.
Thanks very much indeed, Brownie. First time Brownie and I have worked together for about 200 years, I think. Anyway, let's concentrate on the matter at hand here, which is Manchester City in their visit to Brighton. Let's hear from Pep Guardiola and Chris Hughton.
It's certainly not a question of spoiling the party. It's a responsibility to the league, and we have to say a responsibility to Liverpool to try the best that we can to win a football match. Aside, we are incredibly conscious that certain things have to happen for us to get a result, and that's for us to play the best that we can and to be up against a Man City that are certainly not playing the best that they can.
It would be nice, score goals and quicker, but that is not going to happen. So we analysed this week Brighton. I know how well we defend. Tottenham won in the last minutes when a fantastic goal from Eriksen, and last game drawing in Emirates, when yesterday 1-2-4 in Valencia, where it's not easy. So I know how always was difficult in the FA Cup when they play here, but it's just focus in the game you have to play. That is the most important thing in these kind of games, and always heads up and see what you have to do to beat them.
The two teams have been absolutely outstanding, and in a period coming towards the end of the season, I think most people felt that somebody or something would give. Somebody would get that win and somebody get that defeat, but it hasn't, and they've both been so exceptional. So yes, I think for the team that doesn't end up winning the title, I think you do have to feel that little bit for.
First of all, it's a dream to be here. Honestly, I didn't expect a month ago when we were 7 points against this Liverpool being in the position that we are now. I didn't expect it. That's why it's a dream come true. And we show many things. Of course, now it's not the moment to say how good we have done. We have the chance to be champion if we win our game, and that we have to do.
So, you're completely briefed on everything that's happening in the Premier League this afternoon. What's happening here is Brighton against Manchester City. City going for the title. We've got the whole game coming up. You're listening to Premier League Live.
The Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. It's the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick here! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling. What a player this young man is.
Tries to play it forward. Hayward puts it up in the air. Comes down. Chance for 3-2. It is 3-2. Perez scores again. Well, it's times to be a Geordie fan from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Really good delivery from Knockout. Here's the ball into the back of the net. And Antony has scored for Brighton. There is the breakthrough.
And Wolves with possession through Jimenez. Jimenez is going to go himself. There's another chance here. Go for 2-0 possibly. Jimenez! Raul Jimenez It's 2-0 to Wolves, and Cardiff are now all at sea.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
This time trying to find Lukaku. He's broken his way, and Lukaku's bent it into the bottom corner for what may well prove to be the winning goal in the final minutes of the 90.
He's usually unerring from the spot, Harry Kane. He's scored all his last 5 spot kicks. He faces Bernd Leno and scores again! And Tottenham Hotspur have levelled with 16 minutes to go. Harry Kane has now got 9 goals in 9 games against the Gunners. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Arsenal 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Brighton and Hove Albion against Manchester City from the Amex Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Watford, West Ham and Feyenoord striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. So, Manchester City fans, Liverpool fans, football fans generally, take a deep breath. This is the last day of the Premier League season, and the destiny of the glittering prize is yet to be decided. City know what they have to do. A victory here, and Liverpool could win 18-0 against Wolves, and it would make no difference. They will be equally aware that any slip-up is likely to be punished at Anfield. They've been involved in a few dramatic last-day scenarios, City. Back in 2012, you'll remember Sergio Aguero getting that late goal against Queen's Park Rangers, which landed their first Premier League title. Further back than that, in 1968, would you believe, Manchester City and Manchester United were vying for the title on the last day, and Manchester City won their game by 4-3, with Manchester United losing, and City were crowned champions. Pep Guardiola is casually dressed in that knitted cardigan coat that he favours. He's been very, very relaxed in the build-up. He was sitting down in the dugout some hour and a half before kick-off, chatting casually. The sun is shining. The referee is Michael Oliver. Brighton are wearing blue and white stripes, white shorts and blue socks. Manchester City are in a change strip today with dark shirts and shorts, almost black, and bright luminous green socks as the game is underway. And Manchester City aim to finish the afternoon with the Premier League trophy in their hands, but there is still a lot of work to do. They've won 13 on the spin, and they face a team who haven't won in their last 4 home games, from which they've only taken a point. But remember Tuesday night at Anfield. Remember Wednesday night in Amsterdam. Football does not necessarily behave according to the laws of logic and the laws of belief, and so Liverpool fans will be full of optimism maybe, or just plain good old hope that Brighton can do them a favour. Do you think they can, David? Is it possible?
Well, anything's possible, as we've seen, but obviously I've seen Brighton a lot this season, and to be honest, every time I've seen them, they've really disappointed me. I think they've stayed up by virtue of the inability of those sides beneath them, really, to get enough points on the board. And look, they've stayed up, we know that, but they haven't played the football that the fans would want. They've suddenly found a little bit of form and grittiness in the last few weeks. Obviously they don't score many, but they don't concede many either, so no doubt this will be, I guess, a tricky test, but you'd have to say with the armoury City have that it should be fairly comfortable, really.
Yeah, it's an odd season for Brighton. They've probably spent, a couple of months looking over their shoulders, worried about relegation, and that worry was only eased last weekend when Cardiff lost to Crystal Palace, and yet Brighton haven't been in the bottom three all season. Their form is, close to relegation form. They've only scored 2 goals in their last 8 games, so they will have to try and score realistically for Liverpool to be celebrating. You can't see them keeping a clean sheet against this Manchester City side. Here's Zinchenko finding the man of the moment from Monday night, Vincent Kompany, the captain, who rolls it out wide. I'll take you through the 2 teams in full in just a moment. Here's Bernardo Silva, the man who Pep Guardiola says should have won Footballer of the Year. He finds Kyle Walker, back to Bernardo. Here's Raheem Sterling, who did win the Football Writers Player of the Year. He's trying to get in on goal, but it's a very strong tackle in midfield for Brighton by Baram Kayal, and here comes Bernardo Silva again. An early goal, of course, would make so much difference to Manchester City. Here's Raheem Sterling, who's got 23 goals already this season. He finds Riyad Mahrez, preferred today to Phil Foden. Bernardo Silva, edge of the box, finds David Silva, one of the players in the City ranks who've already won 3 titles. Aguero and Kompany the others. The ball in towards Sterling, headed away only as far as Bernardo Silva, who sets up Gundogan, who shoots, and it's blocked on the edge of the box, and Brighton try and counter. It's a fast-flowing opening to this game. Bernardo, though, is able to get the ball back, but then loses it to Bernardo Silva. It's Bernardo Silva driving forward. It's a great run by Bernardo Silva. Can he go all the way? No, it was a despairing lunge and an excellent tackle to deny him after a brilliant run. The tackle came in from Bissouma, and the ball is put into the near side for Brighton, where Knockaert, who's back in the team, just tries to wriggle his way through. Knockaert trying to find a space, finds Pascal Gross to Bruno, the captain, who's retiring after today's game, 38-year-old Knockaert again into the box. Now, who did that come off last? I think it's going to be a goal kick. Murray was challenging.
I think it's a corner actually here, but it's been a really ferocious tempo start, really bright, but you can just see there Bernardo Silva robbed Bissouma, and he drives into the box. It looks like he just skipped past the centre half, and then Bissouma done ever so well just to get back and get a nick on the ball. Ominous signs there. I mean, if they do take that long in possession, they will be pressed, Brighton, but they've got a set piece here, they've got really good height.
Well, they've got Duncan Duffy, who are useful from these sort of situations, who've come up. Pascal Gross right-footed. It'll be an outswinger by him. Firm header away by the young Ukrainian defender, Alexander Zinchenko. Comes back to Knockaert, though. A bit of pressure here from Brighton on City early on. Knockaert into the box. It's a useful ball in. Murray got his head to it, and the ball ends up drifting wide of the post, and one of the Manchester City players has gone down injured, but that was a little bit of enterprise from Brighton, although Murray was offside.
Yeah, I mean, actually, if Knockaert ducked inside onto his favoured left foot with that in-swinger, but he actually had Pascal Gross on the overlap, should have used him in the end. I think it's Glenn Murray, just a little clash of heads with Laporte, but he's fine. But just looking at how City are lining up, so Mahrez is actually playing out on this left-hand side, Raheem Sterling on the right, but he's very narrow, Raheem Sterling. What they're trying to do is just overload Brighton in the middle of the park, who, when they don't have the ball, they're playing basically a 4-5-1, just saying that Man City coming in, try and break us down. Obviously, it's something that they're used to all season, teams sitting back. The only thing is Brighton don't really have the pace to hurt them on the counter.
Well, City have it by the corner flag. Mahrez finds Zinchenko. He in turn picks out Gundogan. The ball is chested away. There's been such a lively start to this game. I haven't had a chance to run through the full lineups for you, and I haven't at the moment, because Jahan Batch is on the run down the down the left-hand side for Brighton. Finds Bissouma, and now Kayal, and it settles down a bit. Brighton have Matt Ryan in goal. Back four is the retiring Bruno, Shane Duffy, Lewis Duncan, Bernardo. Across midfield, Anthony Knockaert, Pascal Gross, Baram Kayal, Yves Bissouma and Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh. Up front, Glenn Murray. For Manchester City, Ederson in goal. The back four is Kyle Walker, Vincent Kompany Aymeric Laporte and Alexander Zinchenko. Across midfield, David Silva, Ilkay Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez. And up front, Bernardo Silva, Sergio Aguero and Raheem Sterling, although you fancy that Silva and Mahrez may be slightly interchangeable in that lineup. Here's Kyle Walker driving down the right-hand side, still inside his own half. Former Tottenham player, of course, finding Ilkay Gundogan, who chips it away towards the far side. It is Bernardo Silva over on that right at the moment. He's trying to cut in field. He finds Walker again. Walker tries a teasing cross. It hits Yves Bissouma on the back and runs away towards halfway, where Kompany very deftly, cleverly and skillfully manoeuvres the ball away from Glenn Murray and finds Ilkay Gundogan. Gundogan midway inside the Brighton and Hove Albion half. We've had 7.5 minutes of the game, and we'll bring you goals elsewhere. Let's hear about one at White Hart Lane.
It's a loop in one. Zuma doesn't get on it. It might break even. Dyer! It does. It's hammered into the bottom corner. And 2.5 minutes on the clock. It's the former Everton man, Eric Dyer, who hammers it into the back of the net for 1-0 Spurs.
Eric Dyer with the goal. Richard Wolfenden with the commentary. Brighton with the ball at the moment, with Murray playing a useful ball down towards Knockaert. That's splendid defending by Aymeric Laporte, and Knockaert is on his best behaviour today. He's gone over to sort of suggest to Laporte that it was a strong challenge but a fair one. Knockaert, of course, disgraced himself with that recent sending off against Bournemouth in a disastrous 5-0 defeat for Brighton and Hove Albion, who generally are, and the one thing perhaps Liverpool fans can cling to by way of hope is that they generally are much better at home than away. And they've got a break on here. It's Jahan Bach down the left-hand side. He's only got Murray in the box at the moment. He's going to shoot, and he's shot wide. First effort on goal of the game was an off-target effort from the Iranian, but that's another warning for City that they are not, Brighton, going to lay down and let them win the title without a battle.
Well, certainly not. It's a brilliant break. I mean, what a ball from Knockaert. Just split the centre halves there of City out wide to Jahan Bach, ducked inside onto his favoured right foot. You can see what he's aiming for there. The near post nearly caught Edison out, and obviously Pep doesn't look quite so confident now. I mean, he spent a large part, didn't he, before the game, sat in his chair, very relaxed, said he slept like a baby, but I'm not so sure that's true. And the way Brighton have started here, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, it has. Here's Jahan Bach. Good play by him to find Baram Kayal. Israeli player gets it back to the tall figure of Shane Duffy, who's scored 5 goals this season from centre half.
What I would say is that what Brighton don't have is their two normal holding sitting midfield players, and David Brockwell and obviously Dale Stevens. Yeah. So Kyle and Bissouma in there today, which you think would help Man City, because obviously, you know, Brighton are used to having those two in there just breaking things up, keeping it simple. But I tell you what, it's been a super start from the home team.
Here's Walker on halfway. That's a lovely ball, and there's a bit of space here for Bernardo Silva, whose energy levels could never be questioned, and he's jinked in field. There's a chance for Bernardo Silva to deliver across towards Aguero, headed away by Duffy and then by Knockaert, and Murray loses out in midfield to Gundogan. And Bernardo again, that's a clever ball. Here's Aguero, wants to shoot. Again, it's blocked, again by Duffy. And Aguero, who's looking potentially to win the Golden Boot, although it's not the trophy he's got his eyes on primarily, but he has scored 31 goals this season, and 20 of them have come in the Premier League, where only Mo Salah has scored more.
Well, I tell you what, if Brighton are obviously going to get a positive result here, which I'm sure Liverpool fans are hoping for, those two, Dunk and Duffy, have to have good games. You can see both from there. Obviously Duffy with a clearing header, and then Dunk with another really good block. So important for them, certainly. And Chris Hughton has said, look, they've had 3 seasons together, you know, they love defending. You can see that today.
Don't forget, you can talk to us on Twitter at TalkSport Live. Robin from Brazil, my goodness me, he says, I'm suffering from dengue fever, aching from head to toe, hoping results will cheer me up. Goodness me, get better, mate. That's not very nice, dengue. It's a bit like malaria, isn't it? You're a Liverpool fan, I know, so you'll be hoping for good news from us, from a Liverpool point of view. Ball into the box from Zinchenko. He's nodded away by Duffy, who's been very busy in the opening 11.5 minutes. Here's Pascal Gross for Brighton, player who's suffered his fair share of injury problems this season, but has established a level of fitness recently which is good to see. 9 of his 10 goals gross have come at this ground, so again Liverpool fans will be hoping he can get another, but they've lost the ball in midfield. Brighton. Company finds Aguero plays it off to Bernardo Silva, trying to get down that inside right channel. His quick feet again finds Sterling's onside. Aguero's there, gets his head to it, and Bruno, the veteran, scoops it away from the far post, but only as far as Zinchenko. Bernardo Silva looks to me as if he's going to be a real key figure for Liverpool this afternoon, because every time he's got on the ball, he's beaten players, he's got out into wide positions, and he's looking to create havoc.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know what Pep thinks of him. Obviously, he loves him. What was he, 43.5 million from Monaco? Only started 15 games last season. He's doubled that this season, so he's been a real important cog in their well-oiled machine. But Glenn Murray, just going back to Brighton, obviously when they do win that ball back, Brighton, they don't really have any other option apart from Glenn Murray. He's playing up there by himself, the lone front man. Now it's coming to him a couple of times and Company's taking it off him far too easy. He's got to do better there, Murray. He really must keep hold of that ball, retain it for his team.
Let's hear from a goal at Craven Cottage, Fulham against Newcastle.
There's Shelvey on the volley. Oh, it's a terrific goal. John Joe Shelvey took it down and swiped it into the top corner.
Back in the team and back amongst the goals, my thanks to Barry Swain. John Joe Shelvey has put Newcastle a goal up at Fulham.
Well, I know that obviously a lot of Liverpool fans and players are thinking, how would Brighton have prepared for this? I mean, there was stories that the players have been boozing, but the way they've started here,
they don't look as if they have. Or maybe they have and it's doing them some good, I don't know. Here's Mahrez. Little flick by Silva out to Zinchenko, gets the cross in, it deflects off Knockout, who can't prevent it from going for a corner kick, so Manchester City will have a set piece opportunity. We've had 13.5 minutes. Manchester City looking to win for a 14th consecutive Premier League game. Would you believe they've won 20 of their last 21? The only blip was that defeat at Newcastle back in January. Neither City nor Liverpool have lost since the first month of this year. Here's Gundogan with the corner. It's not a very good one. It's headed away comfortably by Lewis Dunk and then controlled by David Silva. His hair is slightly more full and long than it has been in recent weeks. He's clearly growing it out. Here's another chance for City, and the scuffed shot which is deflected from the edge of the penalty area. It was Riyad Mahrez who hit it with his left foot, but not with any great conviction, and in the end it just took a flick on the way through off Bissouma, although goalkeeper Matt Ryan did have to be rather alert at his near post there because there was a City player arriving.
Well, what surprises me is that Mahrez, not that he's starting, obviously he started against Tottenham, but he's playing out on this left hand side. Obviously that's where he made his name, was on the right, especially for Leicester, and that's why they signed him. City cutting in a bit like that on the right side onto his favoured left foot. Seen that so many times, but to me, if Pep wants natural width, I'd have been starting Leroy Sané, but he's gone with Mahrez, and Bernardo Silva is obviously out on the right. He's not a natural wide man either. He's obviously coming in onto his left, and it looks like Raheem Sterling's playing quite close in beside Sergio Aguero.
Well, they don't have bad options from the bench, do they, Chelsea? Kevin De Bruyne, incidentally, who was a doubtful starter, obviously doesn't start, but he is on the bench, which suggests that his injury is improving. He's on the bench, so too is Sané, as you mentioned, and Gabriel Jesus. So you've got 3 players there who can come on to devastating effect. Here's Aymeric Laporte finding David Silva. Silva to Gundogan. Gundogan just plays a 1-2 with Kyle Walker, has it back in the centre of the field, just midway inside the Brighton half. Back to Walker again. This is very patient from Manchester City, who have everybody bar Glenn Murray in front of them for Brighton. Here's Zinchenko. Back to Kyle Walker. Walker touches it to Company. The City fans are going to be encouraged to shout shoot, aren't they, every time Company gets the ball within 30 yards of the goal.
Well, the reason they're saying that is obviously that's where they camp now, City, right in Brighton's half, almost 35 yards from goal. Similar territory to where Company scored from.
Here's Aguero. Touch back to Gundogan. And now Aguero again. Aguero tries to find room for a shot. Such quick feet and low balance. Finds Zinchenko. City have enjoyed probably 20 or 30 passes. Zinchenko whips it in. It's an awkward one, but not quite awkward enough from City's point of view. It gave Lewis Dunk a bit of a panic. He stretched and tried to connect to cut it out. It went whistling past his outstretched leg, but there was no one on the back post far enough forward for City to turn that cross into anything more than just one which drifted behind for a goal kick.
I mean, he's done well, hasn't he, Zinchenko, since he's got in the side. It's been a bit of a problem area for them, though, hasn't it, that left-back spot, certainly when Mendy was injured. But there, I don't know why he's delivering that ball in the box. Look, Duncan Duffy, he had Aguero, he could have used defeat, and Mahrez. That's where they've got to be really clever and look, just show even more patience. We've seen it already, being patient around the box, but that time you just got to keep the ball moving. Eventually there'll be an opening. I'll be looking to try and find Aguero in the box.
We've had 17 minutes. It's Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Manchester City 0. We've got goals elsewhere. They're going to be flooding in, of course, this afternoon with so many games. And we're hearing that Liverpool have taken the lead. So at the moment, if you froze the current Premier League table, Liverpool would be top and Manchester City second. The scenario is that if City fail to beat Brighton and Liverpool win, then Liverpool will be champions. We'll confirm all that for you in just a moment. Here's Pascal Gross for Brighton, who've soaked up a little bit of pressure but have finally got the ball in their own possession for the time being. Let's hear about the goal at Anfield.
Alexander-Arnold, nice 1-2 with Henderson. Edge of the penalty area, deflected, cross, goal! Sadio Mane puts Liverpool ahead. It's taken 17 minutes. Senegalese firing home for his 23rd of the season, 21st in the Premier League, and what a time to get it. Liverpool strike first blood on the final day. Title race takes another dramatic twist. It's advantage Liverpool. Liverpool 1, Wolves 0.
Well, that will have permeated through to the City fans at the Amex Arena and beyond. They're on the attack, City, at the moment, with Raheem Sterling just outside the penalty area, flicks it ahead, gets a dangerous cross in. It's flapped by by Ryan, who gets it away. It comes out to Mahrez. Mahrez trying to drift his way through to create a crossing opportunity. Instead it's come square to Kyle Walker. It's played to Bernardo Silva down the channel. Silva sets up Gundogan. Its shot is blocked. Is it going to be one of those days, I wonder, for Manchester City, when everything that they try doesn't come off? You'll recall 1995 when Blackburn won the title. Manchester United needed to win at West Ham, and Ludek Miklosko, the West Ham goalkeeper, saved everything that Andy Cole and Dwight York fired at him, and the title went to Blackburn.
Well, ironically, I saw Ludo last week at West Ham, and he was the goalkeeping coach when I was there, and he still looks terrific. I tell you what, he looks great for his age. But yeah, it might need another sort of salvo here from Matt Ryan. But just looking at Brighton, they've been very, very diligent here in terms of how they're playing. But they just got to try and keep the likes of Bernardo, Raheem Sterling, as much as they can outside the box. Don't let him in.
Well, that's exactly what they've done. Basuma's done well. Walker with the follow-up shot. It loops up off a defender. Ryan has a defender in front of him, which means he can't claim the ball cleanly. He's flapped it out of his box, and Brighton have dealt with it. And Jahan Bach is coming down the left flank towards the halfway line. He's never scored for Brighton. Alireza Jahan Bach, who arrived from AZ Alkmaar, the Dutch side, in the summer. Here's Anthony Knockaert.
I think those two wingers have had really good games so far, Knockaert and Jahan Bach. I mean, they've had a lot of stick this season, and rightly so. They haven't performed, but in and out of possession, they've looked good today, working very hard for the team, and they're passing the ball when they get it, because they haven't had it much, but when they get it, they're moving it really, really well, Brighton.
Here's Knockaert. It's well read by Laporte, who got across very quickly. Zinchenko drives it forward. Newcastle have taken a 2-goal lead now against Fulham at Craven Cottage, and West Ham United are a goal up at Watford. Reminder that Tottenham lead by a goal to 0. Let's hear about some of those goals. Newcastle's second at Fulham with Barry Swain.
And he's squirmed it towards goal, and it's swept home, and it is a second. It's Ezzy Perez. He's on fire at the moment, and Newcastle United scored 2 in the space of a minute and a half.
Well, Fulham are down and improving under Scott Parker, but his first game in full charge doesn't seem to be going quite the way he'd have wanted. Let's go to Vicarage Road and hear about West Ham's goal from Ian Brown.
Here's Noble up to the edge of the penalty area for West Ham. It's a mazy run, and it's a beautiful finish by Mark Noble. The captain scores his 50th career goal.
Well, that's a battle for 10th and 11th place. If West Ham win that, they'll finish in the top half and consign Watford to the bottom half, and they are winning it. Their skipper, Mark Noble, has the goal. 22 minutes nearly here. And the significant goal, as far as Manchester City supporters are concerned, has come courtesy of Sadio Mane at Anfield. Here's Mahrez on the left-hand side, attacking the edge of the penalty area, plays a square ball across the edge of that area to Gundogan, who finds Zinchenko. Zinchenko thinks about a cross and then plays it short again to Gundogan. Is this going to be one of those Manchester City performances, I wonder, exactly like the ones you were mentioning earlier, David, where they've dug out results by narrow margins in the manner that champions so often do?
Well, they might have to today, because obviously when they get the ball wide, a bit like when Zinchenko had it there, as you said, he looked to deliver the ball, but he didn't, because he looks in the box, and basically Brighton are, they're big. The two centre-halves, Dunk and Duffy, got good height, so you deliver it in the air, you're probably not really going to get on the end of it, so they have to work the ball in and around the box and be really, really clever. It's going to be difficult for them today, but they need their players, certainly in the final third, to be really on their game.
Here's Aguero finding David Silva. David Silva's found Mahrez. Mahrez right by the edge of the goal line, cuts it back, and Matt Ryan with a very strong palm pushes the ball away to safety for Brighton and Hove Albion. Glenn Murray has been tussling there with Aymeric Laporte. Here's Kingsley on Twitter. Good day to you guys from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. He says City will win the title, Liverpool will win the Champions League, and Arsenal will win the Europa League. That's a treble prediction there.
Well, that's a really good
start by Ryan, wasn't it?
It was by Ryan, because Bruno got attracted to the ball. He's very, very narrow. I mean, look, he wants to go out on a high today, Bruno. Obviously, he's up against Mahrez, and he's done well so far, but that time he was a bit too narrow, got caught inside, left Mahrez an awful lot of space. Good ball across the box, and Matt Ryan got down well just to palm that away.
Brighton free kick, drifted away towards the edge of the penalty area. It's too high for Lewis Dunk, and it'll just drift and dribble its way across the goal line, where Ederson, dressed all in orange, who is involved in a battle of his own, isn't he, with Alisson for the Golden Gloves. They've both kept, is it 20 clean sheets, I think, this season, which is pretty impressive, and it just underlines more of the statistics just about how good these two title-chasing teams has been. But at the moment, Liverpool have the upper hand, and City have to find a way through. We're beyond the midway point in the first half. It's still goalless here, but Liverpool lead against Wolves. Here's Kyle Walker finding Gundogan. Bit of space for him. Clips it away towards Riyad Mahrez, who's offside. And that particular Liverpool ambition is snuffed out.
Well, that's probably second or third time now that they've got in and around the box, last 30 yards from goal, and that final pass has just been found wanting. We saw it earlier, one through ball into Aguero was over here, that one from Gundogan out wide to Mahrez was behind him, plus Mahrez was offside, and you can see the City fans frustrated there. It's not quite figuring in the final third so far.
No, it's not exactly going the way many people would have predicted. City, of course, with a domestic treble still on, won the League Cup already. Big favourites to win the FA Cup next weekend. But at the moment, the title is provisionally in Liverpool's hands. But we've had 25 minutes goalless here, and Brighton are on the attack.
Well, Bruno's got the ball here. This is going to be launched into the box. He's about level with the penalty area. He's obviously given the ball a wipe down. He's going to try and aim for the 6-yard box. He'll probably reach it as well.
Well, any Brighton player who can score a winning goal today will never have to buy a drink in Liverpool as long as they live. But Bruno's throw has been repelled, but the follow-up shot from Jahan Bach has been deflected and gone behind, and Brighton and Hove Albion have a corner kick in the sunshine on the south coast.
Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't the best throw actually. It ended up nearly on the penalty spot, a little bit too deep, but Jahan Bach's picked it up. Closed down really well from Sterling though, but it's gone out for a corner, and they got good height, Brighton. This is probably one of their most realistic chances of scoring today from a set piece, from a corner.
We mentioned before, Shane Duffy's got 5 to his name, which is pretty good for a central defender. Here comes the corner. It's going to be an in-swinger, and they're both there, Duncan Duffy. It's a useful one. It's in! Glenn Murray, I think, got the touch at the near post, and Brighton and Hove Albion have the lead against champions-elect Manchester City. Oh, what drama are we in for today, I wonder?
Glenn Murray's flick header from a corner. Liverpool, of course, leading at Anfield. Manchester City fans stunned on the south coast. Brighton 1, Manchester City 0.
Well, Pep's taking his cardi off, it's business now, but what a ball in, brilliant to the near post. Murray just gets in front of Zinchenko and Ederson. He's about 2 yards out though when he heads it in. The deftest of touches, I mean Ederson's too late coming for that, he's tried to punch it. He's got to go much earlier, left it far too late. Terrific little header though from Murray. Would you believe it, it's all set up, incredible.
Well, I never. Pep Guardiola winces, hands in pocket and turns away. Glenn Murray has got his 15th goal of another productive season. It's his 4th goal actually against Manchester City, a second for Bournemouth, for Brighton, but he also got 2 against Palace for them in the past, so he's been a thorn in their side. 27 minutes to go. Manchester City are not used to being in this sort of situation. And it's a long time since they conceded, but here's Aguero looking to get them level straight away, and he has! Sergio Aguero! The lead lasted less than a minute, and Aguero, as he so often does, the first to react in the penalty area, a low left foot shot beyond Matt Ryan, and within a twinkling of an eye, Manchester City have gone from doom and gloom to parity, and it's Aguero who's done it yet again, his 32nd goal of the season. That is potentially what champions are made of, the inability to let anything go against them. There's a definite onside. If we'd have had VAR, it would have told us that, but Aguero spun away from his man and finished, as he so often does, clinically into the net. Well, an extraordinary minute at the Amex. It's Brighton 1, Manchester City 1.
Well, ironically, we just spoke about how each side most likely chance of scoring for Brighton is from a set piece, and so it proved. And then for Man City a few months ago, I was saying, you've got to get the ball into Aguero's feet, you've got to work it in there. I mean, finally they get ball into David Silva, lovely little Cruyff flick round the corner, and then he just spun away. Great finish through Matt Ryan's legs.
It's still not enough though. If Liverpool beat Wolves, they need another goal. Manchester City. Here's Kyle Walker into the box, try to provide the ammunition for it, but it's flicked away by Shane Duffy. 7 years ago tomorrow, Sergio Aguero scored that dramatic goal against Queen's Park Rangers at the Etihad, which secured the first of their Premier League titles. He's got another goal on the final day here, but at the moment it's only half the job done. They have a corner, Gundogan takes it, up goes Company and tries to flick it on. It's headed away by Yves Bissouma. It drops via Riyad Mahrez's toe to Kyle Walker, who finds Raheem Sterling. Sterling's delivery not the best, headed away by Bissouma. This is going to be some game now. We've had nearly half an hour, it's one apiece. But City just showed such character, didn't they, to come straight back. OK, we've lost the first goal, let's get the second. They might get the third here, and the header by Bernardo Silva is held by Matt Ryan. Lovely cross from the left-hand side, and Bernardo Silva is not the tallest, but he got his head to that cross by Zinchenko, headed it firm and hard down, but too close a little to the Australian keeper who clung on.
Well, Knockhart's got a switch on much earlier. He just lost Zinchenko for a fraction of a second. That was all it took on the overlap. Great ball across the box. Bernardo Silva, good downward header, back across goal, but it's a comfortable save.
Here's Walker forward to Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez with his socks pulled up over his knees chips the ball forward towards Aguero. It's classic Aguero, isn't it? I mean, he basically outthought the defender. He hasn't had too much of the game. He doesn't need too many chances. His chance conversion rate is extraordinary, and he's scored again. It's his 21st Premier League goal. It puts him level at the top of the goal-scoring charts with
he's one behind.
Salah.
I think he's one behind. Yeah, he's on 21, and Salah's got 22. But
you're right. Yeah, I beg your pardon. Here's Bernardo Silva. Cross is headed away firmly by Bruno. Drops for Kyle Walker. Walker, lovely ball. Here's Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva shoots, is deflected towards Aguero. Away by Bruno. There's a beginning to sense a feeling of desperation about Brighton's defending. You can't really defend like this for an hour, can you? Backs to the wall, putting everything in front of the ball. You just get the impression that they'll get unlocked eventually. I'll tell you what, City fans were worried at the moment. This might cheer them up.
But Nathaniel Mendes-Lang has a chance to put Cardiff in front. The boos echo around Old Trafford. Mendes-Lang scores! David De Gea goes the wrong way.
Penalty for Cardiff. Dan Wheeler with the commentary, and Manchester United's miserable season could end up on yet another low. Cardiff City already relegated, lead by a goal to nil. Of course, Manchester United were unable to beat another of the relegated teams, Huddersfield, last weekend. Here's Ilkay Gundogan chipping it in towards Zinchenko. Bruno reads it well, and it's chested away by Knockaert, who finds the bald and bearded figure of Bruno, 38 years of age. He's made 243 appearances for Brighton, and this will be his last, retiring from a club he served with such distinction. Here's Gundogan winning the ball in midfield and driving forward for City. It's not a good flick. Dunk will get it away up towards their goal scorer Murray, and then a long hoisted ball forward will drop for Ederson.
Well, just looking at City here, John, they look like they've actually moved Mahrez back over to the right, to his favoured position, because I don't think it was working out on the left. He's more comfortable out on that side. Let's see how this progresses the rest of this half.
Here's Mahrez. There's an overlap from Walker. He's ignored that. He's come further infield to Bernardo Silva. Mahrez trying to find space for a shot. He still wants to shoot Mahrez. There isn't the space, so he finds Zinchenko. Zinchenko, who's filled that left-back position in the absence of the perpetually injured Benjamin Mendy, who's going to spend the summer, I think, trying to sort out his knee problem that's robbed him of so much of the season. Here's Riyad Mahrez finding Kyle Walker. Walker further out wide to Bernardo Silva again. Now Aguero, lovely 1-2 with Silva. Silva cuts it back. Aguero can't quite get there, and it's smashed away by Bernardo for Brighton. We've got Bernardo Silva being marked by Bernardo down that flank at the moment.
B&B. Well, look, what they have to be careful when the ball does go wide here, especially the two fullbacks. Bernardo out on that left-hand side. They've got to track runners and stay with them. They're so bright in around the box, these little give-and-goes and 1-2s. They've been caught out a couple of times, and that's when they look like they're just attempting those last-ditch tackles, Brighton. They're just having a replay of that goal from Aguero. Terrific little finish.
Well,
and he means business, Pep, now, because the big woolly Cardi's off. He knows this is maybe not as comfortable. I know he said he slept well, which I find amazing. But, you know, he certainly will be feeling nerves a little bit now.
There have been goals at Selhurst Park, where Crystal Palace have gone into a 2-goal lead very quickly against Bournemouth. Here it's 1-1. In a rather more crucial encounter in the Premier League, and City are looking to get their noses in front before half-time. Gundogan forward, Silva with the cross, blocked well by Duffy. Here's Bruno tussling with Sterling and cleverly scooping it away, but only as far as Gundogan. Gundogan looking to keep turning the screw for Manchester City. Finds Bernardo Silva, and now it's out to Mahrez. Mahrez under pressure, just stumbles over the ball, and Basuma will bring it away for Brighton. That's a clever ball by Basuma, out to Knockaert, and there might be a counter-attack on here. It's Anthony Knockaert trying to roll the ball around. Aguero took his standing leg. It's a free kick to Brighton with 10 minutes to go in the first half.
Well, we've seen that a few times here. Aguero just, coming back, trying to help out of possession. I mean, he knows how important this game is today, obviously working ever so hard for the team.
Well, we've got a break here. Let's hear about those goals at Selhurst Park. They've got two in quick succession, Palace.
Tries to get his cross in, not a clean cross. Oh, there's a chance, and it's a goal! It's Michy Batshuayi who has fired Crystal Palace ahead here at Selhurst Park.
Martin Hopkins with the commentary. The ball's drifted over. We can hear about the second one now from Martin.
Eases it out the right-hand side to Wan-Bissaka, and it's in the back of the net, and it's a second goal for Crystal Palace.
Wan-Bissaka, it's a rare goal from him. One of the, I think, players we'll be talking about a lot next season. He's had a fantastic campaign with Palace, the young fullback who's been mentioned as a potential England player. Not a lot of good fullbacks England do have at the moment. Here's Vincent Kompany crossing halfway and exchanging passes with Gundogan. That's a lovely measure ball in towards Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez to Bernardo Silva, who set it up, but there was no one there on the end of it, and Brighton have cleared. Riyad Mahrez, of course. Oh no, here's Silva. Chance for City again. It's Mahrez who shoots low and hard, but it's blocked by Matt Ryan at the foot of his post. I was just going to say Riyad Mahrez was the man who could have avoided all this excitement at the end of the season had he converted that late penalty against Liverpool earlier in the season. He almost converted a chance there, but Ryan did well to block his near post and City have a corner.
Well, he did do well, but Glenn Murray's got to do better. How many times I said that now in terms of retaining the ball? Terrible pass back, gifted possession to City, and then Mahrez tried to get the ball at near post. Good save from Ryan.
Here's the corner. Up they go! And in he goes! Aymeric Laporte with a towering header has put Manchester City in front. The corner swung in from Riyad Mahrez, and a beautifully timed run and a bullet downward header by defender Aymeric Laporte has now put City back in control of their own destiny. They lead by 2-1, and if they can maintain that lead to the end of the game, it doesn't matter what Liverpool do, City will be champions.
Well, Laporte here, he just leaps up high, unmarked, totally unmarked, 6 yards out. Glenn Murray again. I don't know who he's meant to be picking up here, but he should be in contact with Laporte. He just loses him completely, rises completely unchallenged, 6 yards out. I mean, look, if Murray wants City to win the title, he's doing his very best to help them. It was a terrible back pass which led to the corner, and then his man marking in there, but he just completely let him go.
Well, it was one central defender who came up with the goods on Monday night for Manchester City. It's the other who's done it today on the South Coast. Aymeric Laporte has scored his 5th goal of the season. All 5 of them have come away from home. And that will be a huge sigh of relief for Manchester City's fans at the Amex, because they trailed, not for long, but they did trail. A draw is not necessarily enough, but a victory, regardless of by how many, and whatever anyone else does, will do the job for Pep Guardiola's men as he seeks to win a title for an incredible 8th season out of 10, which is remarkable when he's done it in Spain, Germany and England. That's another clever ball over the top. Here's Mahrez, wants it on his left foot. It's clipped away by Johan Batch. It hit Mahrez again on its way through, so it's going to be a goal kick to Brighton and Hove Albion. What is going on the side? Mikel Arteta is having a strong word, it seems, with one of the Brighton coaching staff.
It's Paul Troll up there. I just wonder whether he's saying, I don't know whether the ball boys are taking the time, putting the ball back in play, because he's made the motion about, cooking in the tempo up. That's either the ball goes out of play for a throw, a corner, or maybe goal kicks and things. I don't know whether they feel that maybe Brighton are just wasting a little bit too much time.
As it stands, Manchester City 98, Liverpool 97. 5 minutes to go to half-time in the respective games. Liverpool leading through Sadio Mane's goal against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but it'll count for nothing if Brighton and Hove Albion don't score again here. They're looking to, at the moment, Gross can't get on it, and Kompany, that's graceful defending, isn't he? Just let the ball move across his body, took Johan Batch out of the equation, and has now fed Mahrez, who's coming forward at pace. A 3rd goal before half-time might just about end talk of a title tussle and start talk of a City triumph. Here's David Silva, midway inside the Brighton half. City's reaction to going behind has been absolutely exemplary. Here's Zinchenko, it's a clever ball, it finds Sterling. Sterling trying to set up Bernardo Silva. It's knocked away though, only as far as David Silva again. Here's Raheem Sterling. Silva can't quite return the compliment. What a ball that was in towards Raheem Sterling initially though.
Yeah, terrific pass. I think Zinchenko just spotted the run of Sterling. Bruno just lost him, he stayed onside. Got to the byline, tried to pick, I think it was Bernardo Silva out, but just got the cross wrong. But I mean, I guess the big issue is Brighton just didn't hold on to the lead for long enough. It was something
seconds,
like,
wasn't it? Yeah.
83 seconds, that's all.
Yeah. Well, City fans are beginning to celebrate in the sunshine on this seaside resort. They'll have a good night tonight here, I'll tell you what. If you're planning a celebration, Brighton's one of the best cities in the country to be in. And that is precisely what Manchester City supporters will be hoping to do. We're 4 minutes away from half-time. Guardiola is close to the touchline, shouting instructions at his City players as Bruno takes a throw-in inside the City half, but then rolls it all the way back. It's knocked forward aimlessly by Brighton. I just wonder whether Brighton's the wind has gone out of their sails a little bit. They started the game very well. They got the goal, and you couldn't begrudge them that, but City now look like a team who've got the bit between their teeth, have sorted themselves out, and may well go on to win this game by more than 2-1. Here's Mahrez into the box again. He shoots from the angle. It wasn't a very difficult save for Matt Ryan, and Ryan, who just under a year ago was playing for Australia in the World Cup, gets his gloves around the ball and manages to push it away to safety and then drive it long with his right foot upfield towards Glenn Murray, who's comprehensively beaten in the air by the scorer of City's second goal, Aymeric Laporte.
Well, I'm just looking at how many times Brighton have scored 2, and it's not that many. Got a couple against Palace in March, and apart from that, goals have been few and far between. Yeah. They really have. Got a couple against Fulham, but they ended up losing that game, so it's going to be a tough ask for those Liverpool fans, I guess, to expect Brighton to suddenly produce the unexpected here, unless it's from maybe a set piece or something like that.
That added to the fact that prior to the goal, Ederson had kept 4 consecutive clean sheets. There was 377 minutes of football prior to this match without conceding. Then Murray scored, but they won't worry how many they concede as long as they get more at the other end. It's just simply about winning. Here's Sterling, near side, rolls it back to Zinchenko. Now Gundogan back to Zinchenko. Blue Moon is ringing around the Amex Arena as Company plays a fantastic ball across to Riyad Mahrez, who keeps it in and rolls it back to Kyle Walker. Walker trying to find a way through, but finds that path blocked. It's knocked away by Dunk. Up towards Zinchenko, cushions the ball back to Laporte. Well, we've had 2 goals from set pieces today, one for Murray, one for Laporte. The second far more significant than the first, you would think. Although at 2-1, Manchester City will certainly not feel that the job is done. They'll want 1, maybe 2 more goals before they can start handing round the cigars.
What I would say is they look much more balanced with Mahrez out on that right-hand side and Sterling out on this left. They didn't start particularly well and it didn't suit them, but where the players are now, they look much, much better.
Here's Gundogan centre midfield, finding Zinchenko. Back to Aymeric Laporte. It's his first goal since early February when he scored against Everton. We're in the last minute of the 45. Here's Jahan Bach coming forward for Brighton and Hove Albion. I don't think too many Liverpool fans could complain about Brighton's commitment today. They've certainly given their all, haven't they?
Oh, they have, yeah. I mean, you know, they're playing as they normally do. The only thing I'd say is they might question where the likes of, you know, Dale Stevens, for example, who's basically been a regular player, played every week. He's not in the side. Maybe I don't know if he's injured or, but there isn't. That never came out. Certainly he should be playing because Bissouma and Carl aren't really first choice. It's normally Stevens and Proper. But yeah, they've certainly played well. They've done their best. This is as good as Brighton, I think, have played for a long time.
Manchester City's cup final opponents, Watford, have gone a further goal behind at home to West Ham. Ian Brown,
who nudges it away, but it's back again with Mikel Antonio. Antonio on the edge of the area, drills it against the bar, and the rebound is headed in by Manuel Lanzini.
2-0 to West Ham. Watford have had a pretty miserable time since they won that sensational semi-final against Wolverhampton Wanderers. They've only won 1 game since then, and that was against Huddersfield Town. Here's Pascal Gross for Brighton. Can they get a goal laid on? It's Bissouma wrestling with Company, and it's going to be a free kick to Brighton. Vincent Kompany, the Manchester City captain, has been penalised with a foul just outside his own penalty area. He just got his arm across Bissouma, shoved him over. I think the referee, Michael Oliver, has made a good decision here, despite the fact that Kompany and Mahrez are protesting it.
Well, they came together here. I mean, he has pulled it back, but to me the foul, if it was Kompany, was about 3 yards closer to goal than where Michael Oliver has actually spotted the ball down and sprayed a little white spray. But as it is, it's about, 6-7 yards outside the box.
It's presentable. I know football fans love meaningless omens that have very little grounding in logic. Here's one. Michael Oliver, the referee who's just awarded this free kick, his wife Lucy refereed a game in which Arsenal clinched the Women's Super League title at the Amex at the end of last month. City fans, if that makes you feel any better, then fair play.
It looks like Lewis Dunk fancies this, and if he does, I imagine he's going to go for a bit of pace and power on this. Knockouts on it, but to me it's a right footer here. It's not a lefty from this side.
Well, a Brighton goal potentially changes everything. Lewis Dunk strikes in. It's a decent hit as well, and Ederson is forced to push it over the crossbar. But it's the last action of the first half. Michael Oliver blows his whistle. Lewis Dunk. It was a very central free kick. The goalkeeper didn't have too much trouble palming it over, and it brings a dramatic first half to an end. Manchester City are 45 minutes away from clinching the title. They went behind Glenn Murray's flicked header from a corner on 27 minutes. Within a minute, Sergio Aguero had pulled them level, and a header by Aymeric Laporte in this title-deciding Sunday has swung the pendulum in City's favour. Half-time, Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Manchester City 2. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. Here's the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick here! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling. What a player this young man is.
Tries to play it forward. Hayward puts it up in the air. Comes down. Charge for 3-2. It is 3-2. Perez scores again. Well, it's times to be a Geordie fan from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Really good delivery from Knockout. Here's the ball into the back of the net. And Andone has scored for Brighton. There is the breakthrough.
And Wolves with possession through Jimenez. Jimenez, he's going to go himself. There's another chance here. Good for 2-0 possibly. Jimenez! Raul Jimenez, 2-0 to Wolves. And Cardiff are now all at sea.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
First time touch trying to find Lukaku. He's broken his way and Lukaku's bent it into the bottom corner for what may well prove to be the winning goal in the final minute of the 90.
He's usually unerring from the spot. Harry Kane, he's scored all his last 5 spot kicks. He faces Bernd Leno and scores again! And Tottenham Hotspur have levelled with 16 minutes to go. Harry Kane has now got 9 goals in 9 games against the Gunners. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Arsenal 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back on this day of deciders. It is Liverpool 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, and it is Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Manchester City 2.
Mella in a left-footed in-swinging corner from the former Roma man. Here it comes, left-footed to loop in one. Zuma doesn't get on it. It might break it for Dyer. It does. It's hammered into the bottom corner.
and 2.5 minutes on the clock. It's the former Everton man, Eric Dyer, who hammers it into the back of the net for 1-0 Spurs.
There's Shelvey on the volley. Oh, that's a terrific goal. John Joe Shelvey took it down and swept it into the top corner, and it's swept home, and it is a second. It's Ezi Perez. He's on fire at the moment, and Newcastle United scored 2 in the space of a minute and a half.
Here's Noble up to the edge of the penalty area for West Ham. It's a mazy run, and it's a beautiful finish by Mark Noble. The captain scores his 50th career goal for West Ham United.
Alexander-Arnold, nice 1-2 with Henderson. Edge of the penalty area, deflected, cross, goal! Sadio Mane puts Liverpool ahead. And the cross at the Amex, it's still goalless. So as things stand, I'll whisper it quietly, Liverpool would be winning the Premier League. Wow.
Dallas got to be careful. And what's John Moss said here? He said penalty kick to Cardiff. Mendes Lang scores. David De Gea goes the wrong way.
There's a chance, and it's a goal. It's Michy Batshuayi who has fired Crystal Palace ahead here at Selhurst Park.
Here comes the corner. It's going to be an in-swinger, and they're both there, Duncan Duffy. It's a useful one. It's in. Glenn Murray, I think, got the touch at the near post, and Brighton and Hove Albion have the lead against champions-elect Manchester City. Oh, what drama are we in for today, I wonder? Here's Aguero looking to get them level straight away, and he has! Sergio Aguero, the lead lasted less than a minute, and within a twinkling of an eye, Manchester City have gone from doom and gloom to parity.
Eases it out the right-hand side to Wan-Bissaka, and it's in the back of the net, and it's a second goal for Crystal Palace.
Here's the corner, up they go, and in he goes! Aymeric Laporte with a towering header has put Manchester City in front.
Out it goes to Zaha, who's racing clear down the left-hand side. Zaha into the penalty area, shoots, saved by the keeper, and deflected in for an own goal. It's a third for Crystal Palace.
Antonio on the edge of the area, drills it across against the bar, and the rebound is headed in by Manuel Lanzini.
As the ball's given away, and here come Wolves. Out of nowhere, Wolves hit the crossbar. Liverpool just took their eye off the ball for a second. Things might open up here. Lerma goes for goal and scores. Is it over the line? The Bournemouth fans and the players think it is. Really good strike from Jefferson Lerma.
Lewis Dunk strikes in. It's a decent hit as well. And Ederson is forced to push it over the crossbar. But it's the last action of the first half. Michael Oliver blows his whistle. Title deciding Sunday has swung the pendulum in City's favour. Half-time, Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Manchester City 2. And so, Manchester City are on the threshold of becoming the first team to retain the Premier League title since 2009. It would be the 6th in their history. In the midst of all this talk of the Premier League, it's easy to forget perhaps that City did win the title in 1937 and 1968. This would be their 4th in what we would call the modern era, and goals by Aguero and Laporte after Glenn Murray had put Brighton in front gives them the upper edge. Liverpool winning at Wolves, but only by a single goal. I just wonder whether an equaliser for Wolves might be slightly more likely than an equaliser for Brighton.
Well, possibly. I mean, I've heard that actually Wolves have put up a good show there as well. So both sides here are doing their best, being professional as you'd expect. But it actually seemed to take the Brighton goal to sort of jolt City into life. Really, they're lethargic, I guess, moving the ball a little bit too slowly. Lacked creativity and quality in the final third. And actually, it wasn't until they went behind they suddenly thought, right, come on, that Brighton actually posed a serious threat to us, and they responded magnificently, you have to say.
Guardiola is a methodical coach. He's a player who says he doesn't concentrate on headlines and stories. He concentrates on reality and what is confronting his team. I doubt he's particularly happy with their first half performance, and I would imagine he's in that dressing room now insisting, demanding and cajoling an improvement.
Yes, look, I've got to say they did respond well. I think the change, certainly not formation, but just how the personnel operate within that formation in terms of Mahrez going out to his favourite right outside, Raheem Sterling coming to the left. They've looked better, more balanced, certainly more comfortable. And now when they get in around the final third, they're not just lumping balls in the box. They're trying to pick people out and be clever, and that's what you need to do. Get it into the likes of David Silva, like they did for the equaliser, into Aguero, and then obviously they will score goals. Was it anything we didn't expect? Well, we knew Brighton would make it hard for them, but I just think that probably Pep was a little bit disappointed in their quality, certainly when they got in and around the final third, in and around the box.
And with the likes of Aguero, and Bernardo Silva, who's been absolutely sensational, you do wonder a little, well though they've played, how long Brighton can continue to stem the tide.
Well, yes, that's true, although if you look back, I guess Chris Hughton might be saying to him, well look, we beat Man United here, we drew with Arsenal, and when we've lost to the bigger teams, your Spurs, your Liverpools and Chelsea, it's only by the odd goal. So they're always in games, and they're still in this game. If they win another couple of set pieces, or some free kicks and have a bit of quality, you never know. It just seems like City, to be honest, are going to have 70-80% possession, and you fancy that if they are creative around the box, they'll probably get another chance. The likes of Aguero will probably take it. So it does look ominous, certainly for Liverpool fans, but it's brilliant for City fans.
Yeah, it certainly is. So the situation as it stands is that Manchester City, if no more goals are scored in the big two games today, will win the title by a point from Liverpool. They would have 98 points, and actually fewer than they managed last season. Liverpool would have 97. They're still leading against Wolves, but they will have to either hang on to that lead or increase it, Liverpool. What they cannot affect is what happens in the second half here. They'll be absolutely praying for a Brighton goal. They have already scored one, Brighton, so don't rule it out. Manchester City face the biggest 45 minutes of their season, and we'll be bringing every minute of that second half to you, blow by blow. In just a moment, you're listening to Premier League Live.
Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. Here's the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick here! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling. What a player this young man is.
Tries to play forward, Hayward puts it up in the air. Comes down, chance for 3-2, it is 3-2! Perez scores again! Well, it's times to be a Geordie fan from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Really good delivery from Knockout. Here's the ball into the back of the net! And Andone has scored for Brighton! There is the breakthrough!
And Wolves with possession from Jimenez. Jimenez is going to go himself. There's another chance here. Go for 2-0 possibly. Jimenez! Raul Jimenez, 2-0 to Wolves. And Cardiff are now all at sea.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
First time touch trying to find Lukaku. It's broken his way and Lukaku's bent it into the bottom corner for what may well prove to be the winning goal in the final minutes of the 90.
He's usually unerring from the spot, Harry Kane. He's scored all his last 5 spot kicks. He faces Bernd Leno and scores again! And Tottenham Hotspur have levelled with 16 minutes to go. Harry Kane has now got 9 goals in 9 games against the Gunners. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Arsenal 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Brighton and Hove Albion against Manchester City from the Amex Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Watford, West Ham and Feyenoord striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. Well, after a first half in which their team came back from a goal down to lead, Manchester City's fans look fairly relaxed in the Sussex sunshine on this final Sunday of Premier League action, where the title still hangs in the balance. Liverpool leading by a 0-0. They scored first. Sadio Mane early on. At that point, Manchester City started to fret a little bit, even more so when Glenn Murray glanced in a header to put Brighton in front. That scenario would have seen Liverpool win the title. City equalised. That didn't change that particular scenario, but Aymeric Laporte's goal certainly did after that. So Manchester City back out into the middle for the second half and are 45 minutes away from winning their 6th English Championship title. And of course, with the League Cup already won and the FA Cup to come, they could create history. No side in the history of English football, which goes all the way back to 1888, have ever won all 3 major trophies in the same season. Aguero gets us back underway. Brighton wearing blue and white. Manchester City in a change trip of black shirts, black shorts and bright, luminous lime green socks. Here's Kyle Walker. They're very, very close to completing the job which they began back in August. They've had an incredible season in which, it's been an amazing season overall. I think the lead has changed 33 times this season. No side, Liverpool be warned, has won the title on the last day from being second since Arsenal, in one of the most famous finales to a season ever back in 1989, beat Liverpool by 2-0 at Anfield. They needed 2 goals to win on goal difference, which is what they did. Here's Mahrez into the Brighton box. Mahrez takes the shot. It's blocked for Brighton by the defender, and here come City again. Sterling can't control it, and it's scuffed away. And here comes City again, looking to make a positive start to the second half. It's Vincent Kompany, square to Kyle Walker. Walker back to Kompany. City know that a third goal would, you would think, make it well nigh impossible for Brighton to get back into the game. It's no changes for either of the managers at half-time. I'll go through the teams for you in just a moment. Here's Sterling, though, finding Gundogan centre midfield. Gundogan pushing and probing and playing a short ball in towards Zinchenko again, who's got Sterling out wide. Sterling looking to attack Knockaert, finds David Silva. Silva with a lovely ball into Zinchenko, lifts it up towards the near post where it's headed away by Duffy. But then just a touch by Gundogan allows David Silva to come forward. Gundogan, the German international, is back on the ball again. Almost all of the second half has been played inside the Brighton half. Here's Kyle Walker, lovely ball to Mahrez. Mahrez controls it, drills the cross hard and low across the penalty area, and Shane Duffy not not for the first time by any means, is the man there to put it clear. Mahrez takes the diagonal corner quickly and short to Gundogan, then receives it back. Rather languid cross by Mahrez, who then tries to win the ball in the air, and down it comes to Gundogan. All of the action in the second half is condensed into the third that Manchester City are attacking. Poor ball though by Mahrez, and Bissouma is able to nick it away for a bit of much needed breathing space potentially for Brighton. The whistle blows. Brighton have Matt Ryan in goal, a back four of Bruno, Shane Duffy, Lewis Duncan, Bernardo. Across midfield it is Anthony Knockaert, Pascal Gross, Baram Kayal, Yves Bissouma and Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh, and up front the goal scorer Glenn Murray. For Manchester City, Ederson in goal as he has been ever present all season. Kyle Walker, Vincent Kompany the hero from Monday, Aymeric Laporte potentially the hero and match winner from today with that second goal, and Alexander Zinchenko. Then it's David Silva, Ilkay Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez, and Bernardo Silva, Sergio Aguero and Raheem Sterling.
Well, it's been a really confident start here from City. I mean, they've dominated the ball right from the kick-off. They had the kick-off, set the ball back, and that was it. They've kept it ever since. Really Brighton won it back once, and then Knockaert just gave it away stupidly, and they look really confident here, the away side.
Yeah, they're stroking it around. Here's Mahrez, who's seen plenty of the ball, swirls it in towards David Silva. He tried to tease it over the head of Duncan, go round the other side. Duncan. Watford had pulled one back against West Ham at Vicarage Road.
And already on the attack, and De La Feu is through, and De La Feu has scored an extraordinary goal right from the kick-off at the start of the second half. We were just 10 seconds or so beyond the whistle when De La Feu was able to score.
Well, it's not the first time we've had a very quick goal at Vicarage Road in either half. Remember Shane Long scored for Southampton inside 8 seconds the other week.
shoot with his left foot, chopped inside as he's done all his career. Brilliant bit of skill, composed himself, set himself, and then laced it with his right foot, arrowed into the top corner. Absolutely fantastic finish here. That's the title, signed, sealed and delivered by Riyad Mahrez.
It's a fantastic strike by Mahrez, man who knows all about winning titles with Leicester City and with Manchester City. Guardiola's reaction tells you everything you need to know. The whole of the City bench have gone absolutely berserk when that net rippled. The fans at the Amex are singing champions already. It's not done yet, but my goodness me, it would take something that even this week, when we've seen extraordinary comebacks and astonishing matches for Brighton and Hove Albion to do, that would probably top the lot. What a time to score as well, just when they probably felt we need another one. 2-1, not quite enough. Riyad Mahrez, it was a lovely goal. I mean, if it is going to be goal that clinches the title, it's a worthy one to do so. Brilliant strike.
I mean, it was arguably in a similar sort of spot to Companies, wasn't it? That's where it ended up. It nestled.
Not quite as far out.
No, but still, it was in the same area. I was just saying, weren't we, just before he scored, that Guardiola looked a bit pensive, apprehensive, because he knew at 2-1, the game is still there. You know, if you go and get another goal, that is it. The pressure's off. Now Brighton have got to get two when you're not at risk of conceding from a set piece or something like that. Whereas now they're in total control.
Yeah, they are. You can hear voices at the Amex from fans wearing Manchester blue. They are preparing for another title, another glorious season. Rivals Manchester United were the last to win it back-to-back. It looks like City are going to emulate that. The noisy neighbours, as Sir Alex Ferguson described them famously. Well, they're very noisy now around the Amex, and they're just knocking the ball around now, City, aren't they? You can tell that goal has just released a valve, hasn't it? The pressure has decreased. Brighton, you just cannot see them. I mean, they've barely been in City's half. Here's Zinchenko. They'll want more, the City fans, because they've spent all season watching their team get some pretty big scores. Here's Aguero finding Gundogan. Gundogan back to Sterling and Aguero. Gundogan! Not far away from four there. Side footer from Ilkay Gundogan. It almost grazed the foot of the post. He's not a prolific scorer by any means, just 5 in 48 this season, and he put that one wide.
Well, now they've come alive in around the box. Little give and go, just cut out between Raheem Sterling and Sergio Aguero. There's Gundogan on the edge, trying to side foot it into the far corner. And I guess what he gives you that maybe Fernandinho doesn't in that holding role, because look, there's no doubt they're heavily reliant on Fernandinho, but Gundogan's done brilliantly, is he just does venture a little bit further forward, maybe when you need another player that can unlock a door, and certainly he's worked today.
Brighton have made a double substitution. Their goal scorer Glenn Murray has come off and been replaced by the Romanian international striker Florin Andone. Not sure whether the other sub has actually been made as yet. There was a bit of a... It has. Jurgen Locadia is the other player who Chris Hughton has brought on, and he of course is another attacking player, so that will do one of two things. It will give Brighton maybe the hope that they can force the issue, but I imagine it will probably increase the potential of Manchester City hitting them powerfully on the break.
Well, I did see Locadia come on against Millwall, and they needed him to nick a goal, and he did. Took the time to extra time, and they won on penalties to get through, but obviously Man City here is a different proposition altogether.
Well, we're midway through the second half. All the noise at the Amex is being created by a pocket of Manchester City fans who are shirt-sleeved in the sunshine, raising their arms to the air, singing victory songs already. I think they know that this is an insurmountable position from Brighton's point of view, that they've as good as won the title. It will be so hard on Liverpool, whose performances this season have been astonishing. In any other season, bar the last one, they would have done enough to win the title easily, but this Manchester City team have been absolutely magnificent and will be worthy champions when the We expect the trophy to be hoisted around 5:05 local time. Meanwhile, Arsenal have gone into a 2-0 lead against Burnley, but then seen it cut. It's Burnley 1, Arsenal 2. Crystal Palace have got a 4th goal against Bournemouth at Selhurst Park. They now lead by 4 goals to 2. It is still 1-0 to Liverpool at Anfield. Here's Raheem Sterling. If they get a 4th, all bets are off. Here's Aguero finding David Silva. David Silva just changes direction and looks to cross with his right foot. It's deflected dangerously and nodded behind by Bernardo. Crystal Palace last goal was scored by Patrick van Aanholt. Aubameyang's got his 2nd for Arsenal, which will boost his chances perhaps of winning that golden boot.
They have cut the deficit though, Burnley, to 2-1,
yeah,
but can Brighton cut the deficit here? First off, they've got to defend this corner.
Well, just short of 20 minutes to go. Corner to Manchester City. Aguero will be looking to make a nuisance of himself inside the box. Mahrez plays the corner in, headed away firmly. Header by Gundogan to Walker. Walker to Alexander Zinchenko. Zinchenko thinks about a shot, does take a shot with his left foot. It's low, and it's just sliced away from the edge of the 6-yard box by Lewis Dunk.
They look a bit fatigued now, don't they, Brighton? They out on their feet. I mean, they've been chasing the ball an awful lot. It's a hot day. You can see the sun is beating down on that pitch, but they look spent here, Brighton. I mean, maybe that's why he's made a couple of changes as well, Chrissy Houghton.
Well, I suppose Brighton have done what they set out to do, but they probably haven't done it the way they'd want to. Their aim would have been to avoid relegation. However, after an encouraging start to the season, it all fell apart, and 2019's been awful for them.
It has.
And at one point, it looks as if they might go. Here's Sterling. Well, that's a blatant trip on him in midfield, and that might well be a booking for Yves Bissouma.
Well, he's another one that looks a little bit leggy. I mean, they're committing a couple of silly fouls now, and he's in a good area. It's about 10 yards outside the box. There'll be a few that fancy this as well. There's about 5 of them around the ball.
One of them isn't Vincent Kompany, perhaps surprisingly.
Well, if I was Aguero, I'd be thinking about the golden boot and saying, let me take this. He's only one away, isn't he?
It's a long way out, though, isn't it?
Oh no, Aubameyang's got 2, isn't he? So there's Aubameyang and Salah.
He's got 2. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of ranging being done by Matt Ryan. There's a very solid Brighton wall. 2 players are standing over the ball, Ilkay Gundogan and David Silva, as Michael Oliver paces his way back, turns and blows his whistle for the free kick to be taken. It's Gundogan! Oh, into the net! Gloriously by Ilkay Gundogan! And that is the title for Manchester City. They've got a 4th goal. They've done it in glorious style. Ilkay Gundogan from 30 yards into the corner. Well, if they haven't started already, the Manchester City celebrations will truly begin now. It is game over. It is title Manchester City. It is Brighton 1, Manchester City 4.
Well, we were just talking about Gundogan, weren't we, in terms of how important he has been for this City side. In their 13-game winning run, he started 12 of them. What a free kick. I mean, he's put the gloss on the scoreline, but this is absolutely magnificent. Fantastic finish. He's gone around the outside of the wall. They've jumped. Haven't got close to it, though. Goalkeeper scrambling, Matt Ryan trying to get across, but he's got nowhere near it. Exquisite free kick. Fantastically executed.
Absolutely brilliant. They've scored 2 wonderful goals in the second half for Manchester City. Goals worthy of winning an English title. Pep Guardiola has a huge, broad grin on his face. The ball went into the goal behind which the Manchester City fans are celebrating. Everything is going right for anyone in City Blue at the moment. The sun's even shining. It's almost as if the gods have decided that this is going to be Manchester City's day. Well, just listen to those voices. Campeones, campeones, ole, 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 we were hearing a minute ago. I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever now that Manchester City will be campeones. You have to cast your mind north up to Anfield, where I'd imagine there's a fairly funereal atmosphere there, but there's so much more for Manchester, for Liverpool to look forward to. Noel Gallagher of Oasis is among the crowd at the Amex. He's not in the posh seats either. He's sitting amongst the supporters and he's enjoying it as much as everybody else. They've got quite a few celebrity fans sitting. He's probably first and foremost among them. I don't know where Liam is. They're probably not talking to each other at the moment. That's what normally happens. But Noel Gallagher, with his sunglasses on and his denim jacket, is enjoying this as much as any other City fan would. And yes, he was there in the days when City were, struggling with third flight football and looking as if they were a spent force, a toppled giant. Well, they're on top of the tree now, and they have stayed there as well. It's been a long time since the title winners have successfully defended their crown, but that is what Manchester City are on the brink of doing here. With 15 minutes to go, you just get the impression the last quarter of an hour of the season is going to be fairly academic now. Liverpool know there's nothing they can do. There's certainly nothing Brighton can do. The only real question is whether Manchester City fancy ending it with a real flourish and getting a couple more.
Well, I mean, certainly, it could get even worse here for Brighton. Kevin De Bruyne is coming on. I mean, you've got to remember as well the vast swathes of the season that Kevin De Bruyne missed. I mean, so they're only going to get better next season, and the new law that's coming in terms of goal kicks you can receive inside the box. That'll just mean teams have got to get even higher. They'll make the pitch even bigger. You can only see
that's an
City.
Awkward header by Bernardo. Sorry, it was just for a moment, but it was gathered.
I was just going to say, you can only see City just getting better and stronger and improving, and certainly Liverpool will as well. So, that gulf, I think, that exists in the top division in the Premier League, I think it's only going to get wider. Certainly for the top three, the top four, and everyone else.
Everton are leading 2-1 at Spurs. So after that heroic performance in the Champions League, in fact, I'm hearing that Tottenham have now made it 2-2. They led through Eric Dyer's very early goal, and then in the space of 3 minutes, Theo Walcott and Cenk Tosun made it 2-1 to Everton. Then this.
Instead, he skipped inside some more. It's still Adam Lookman across here.
Sorry, I got the wrong. Let's go back to find out who got that equaliser for Everton.
It won't be Lamella. It'll be Eriksson through the wall and into the bottom corner. He beats Pickford on the goalkeeper's side, and Eriksson, on what is probably going to be his last appearance for Tottenham Hotspur, manages to find an equaliser to make it Tottenham 2, Everton 2.
It's Christian Eriksen. He's scored a few late goals for Tottenham Hotspur. Will it be his last appearance? I don't know. There was an injury problem. I don't know. I mean, there was talk of him leaving. Who knows? He's been linked with various clubs. Real Madrid is one.
Well, he's a top player.
Now, Aguero and Duffy have both got in a tangle and both got injured, which means the introduction of Kevin De Bruyne has been delayed. But it's David Silva who is coming off. David Silva, who will any moment pick up his fourth Premier League winners' medal to add to the FA Cup, the 3 League Cups that he's won with Manchester City.
And only him and Vincent Kompany are survivors from the final day victories in 2012 and 2004 and Aguero. But he's off now, De Bruyne's on.
That's not going to offer any encouragement to Brighton whatsoever. Kevin De Bruyne, good to see him back in harness. He's missed the last 3 games with a hamstring injury. Well, the Manchester City fans are going to be singing their way all the way back to Manchester. It's a long old journey, actually, from Brighton on the south coast to Manchester in the northwest, but they won't mind it one bit. It's a lovely day in every sense for Manchester City.
You've got to say as well, John, that the call to maybe start Mahrez, I guess a few were thinking, was that the right one? And he's been much maligned, hasn't he? But, out on this right-hand side, to me, that's where he's got to play. He started on the left, it didn't suit them. No. As soon as he went on the right, there was so much more balanced City, and as you've got to say, terrific strike. I mean, everyone knows that skill, where he gets it on his left, fakes to shoot, and he chops back in. I mean, he sent Lewis Dunk absolutely flying. Committed, went to ground, bought himself that vital yard in around the box, and what a strike.
West Ham United have got a third at 10-man Watford. Marko Arnautovic has made it 3-1. to Manuel Pellegrini's men. It's now Palace 4, Bournemouth 3. Josh King for Bournemouth in the most high-scoring game of this final Sunday, but neither of those games are going to get a fraction of the column inches and internet attention that this one will. Manchester City very, very close now. 11-12 minutes away from sealing the defence of a title. They won it in 1938, 37, 1968 and 3-4 times now in this era. Here's Aguero trying to put the icing on the cake. Still has it, Aguero. City fans are claiming he was fouled in the box, so too is Aguero, but the referee's not interested.
Well, I think actually Raheem Sterling should have done better there. I mean, it's a really good break. Aguero just peeled off the outside centre-half. He just needed a better ball. It was in behind him, and he was away. I think Aguero's frustrated because he knows that was a good chance. Look, Raheem Sterling, it's a really slow pass he gives him. He wants that in front of him, Aguero. He knows, he wants this golden boot.
Well, it's going to be Manchester City's 14th consecutive win, their 7th consecutive away win. They have now scored 163 goals in all competitions this season, 95 of those in the Premier League. It is quite simply a season of staggering statistics, but frankly the statistics count for nothing at the moment. It's all about emotion. It's all about passion, it's all about supporting your team, it's all about celebration, and that is what the Manchester City fans are going through now. Through the repertoire of songs at the end that their team are attacking, although they're not attacking a great deal now. This game has turned into a situation where City have said, well, we've got 4, we don't need any more, we're just going to watch the clock, knock the ball around. Brighton have no hope of getting back at us, we've got the title in all but the official reckoning. Just hearing that Liverpool may well have scored at Anfield. It's not going to make any difference to the mood here. I think I'm hearing that Sadio Mane's got his second goal of the game. We'll confirm that for you in a moment with Russ Hargreaves up there. In the meantime, Bernardo Silva finds Sergio Aguero, and City are just playing keep ball now. Brighton, to be honest, you can't blame Brighton really. I think they're just mindful of the fact that there's little they can do. They're trying to get everyone behind the ball, but the ball's not been anywhere near. They're not really pressing, are they, Brighton?
No, I mean, and we said, didn't we, before the game, in terms of, you know, when City, I guess, had the fixtures and when it was coming down to it, and they had, I guess, the Leicester one and then this one as the last game, you think, right, the Leicester one was the potential banana skin, but they got over that with that stunning strike from Vincent Kompany. You always knew that they'd come out on top here, although Brighton would make it difficult, and they have done that, but still, I mean, the armoury they have, the amount of goals and players, certainly in that final third, when they've had to deliver today, they really have done. Yeah, and Mane has got a second for Liverpool. No, this is a nice touch. Bruno's coming off.
Yeah, let's take a while to forget Manchester City and talk about Bruno. He's been an amazing servant to this club. He was instrumental in them coming up into the Premier League. 7 seasons, 243 appearances. The oldest player in the Premier League takes the applause from all corners of the ground, including the Manchester City fans, to their credit. It's quite something to be playing at any level of football at 38 years old, but to be playing in the Premier League as he has been. He gets a pat on the back from Sergio Aguero as he comes up. Every Brighton player wants to shake his hands and give him a hug. Everybody inside the Amex is on their feet, and this is a lovely way for Bruno to bow out. Terrific person as well, one of the nicest guys you'll ever hope to meet. He turns and soaks up the applause for a last time. Pep Guardiola joining in the huge applause for Bruno. Mahrez gives him a hug, and finally he's going to leave the field, and that's a nice moment.
It certainly is. He's done trivially well. I mean, I know myself, I retired at 38, not in the Premier League unfortunately, but a little bit lower down, so a terrific achievement for him.
Let's hear about the second goal at Anfield.
Robertson to Fabinho, looking for Salah once more. Cody's interception again. He's had a good second half, but his through ball to Jota is cut out by Fabinho. Delivery to Salah. Salah misses it, but Mane doesn't. And Sadio Mane fires his second of the game, and he's up to 22 for the season, and he's now level with Mo for the Golden Boot. 2 goals from Mane. It's not going to be in a title-winning cause.
No, it isn't, but I'll tell you what, the Champions League is one hell of a consolation prize, isn't it? Not today for Liverpool. It's Manchester City's day today. Well, they are just playing keep ball now, and just waiting for Michael Oliver's whistle. I don't think there'll be a huge amount of stoppage time either, maybe 3. Here's Company, who probably will get the goal that will define it. The one that whistled in against Leicester on Monday. That'll be a one I think that people will remember when they look to this season, because of the identity of the scorer, the way it went in, and the fact that they needed a goal from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there, is it, with the Aguero goal last day of the season against Rangers, wasn't it?
Yeah. The ball is forward again by City, and Sterling tries to find De Bruyne, who's immediately involved, and hooks it forward. Here's Mahrez, he wants another goal. Well, he might have hit that on the full. Instead, he tried to take it down. It's come instead to Bernardo Silva, who's been terrific today again. Finds Gundogan, whose free kick really set the party going. And City just up the ante a little bit now, haven't they? Just maybe they do fancy a 5th goal, just to send the fans home in even greater levels of ecstasy. Here's Sterling. He's been brought down. It's a free kick. Oh dear, they conceded the last one. Yeah. Brighton. I just wonder whether similar fate might befall them here.
But that's what happens when you play City. They just grind you down. They move the ball, they keep it, they go from side to side and probe, and you run. In the end, you get tired, you're fatigued, and you make silly mistakes, you make fouls. Obviously, that led to the Gundogan goal. But this is nice. Company as well coming off.
Yeah, Company. Well, he's going to get an ovation. He's an absolute legend. There'll be building statues of him, you'd think, possibly, after he retires.
Not in Liverpool, they won't.
Not in Liverpool, no. Certainly not in Liverpool. But he's another hugely likeable figure, player who will donate the entire proceeds from his testimonial to Manchester's homeless. And, well, look at the smile on his face as he comes off.
Is that his last game, do you think, in the City shirt?
Could be. He says he wants to carry on. It's a question of how long he can carry on, really. I mean, he's had a lot of debilitating injury problems. He's 33 now. He gets a huge hug from Pep Guardiola and from Mikel Arteta. And he's coming off. He's going to be replaced by Nicolas Otamendi. There's always one stupid result on the last Sunday, isn't there? This is the one at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 5, Bournemouth 3 is now the score, and West Ham have increased their lead against Watford, who scored it within the first 10 seconds of the second half, but then had Holibas sent off and have since conceded 2 goals to the Hammers. So it's Watford 1, West Ham United 4. Just a reminder that it's Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Liverpool 2. Liverpool had to win. It looks like they're going to do that, but they had to hope that City didn't, and that was never going to happen from the moment Riyad Mahrez lashed it high into the net midway through the second half.
Well, they've got 1 sub left. Now, if you're a City player and you're on that bench, you're thinking, right, can I get on this pitch now? Whether you're Danilo, Stones, Leroy Sané, obviously Gabriel Jesus, who's going to get the call? Because you want to get on that pitch.
Yeah. I thought I saw Danilo getting ready earlier. I think it will be, because it's Kyle Walker who's coming off. He's applauding the City fans who respond. It's all smiles for City. It's Danilo who is coming on. The Brazilian, it's his 22nd appearance of the season. He scored actually in the fixture against Brighton last season at home, which City won by 3-1. They're leading this one by 4-1, and we've got 2.5 minutes of normal time.
Do you think that's a signal to Leroy Sané to say, well, you've got to put your ideas up if you want to be part of this, because, we can do it without you? As much as I love Leroy Sané, I think he's an incredible winger. He's obviously, something's gone on behind the scenes.
He never seems quite in favour, does he, compared to others. Ball flicked forward towards Aguero, intercepted by Ryan. Well, of course, they've got FA Cup final places to play for as well. It's been an interesting selection. Their opponents, Watford, have been frankly dreadful since they reached the final with that extraordinary win against Wolverhampton Wanderers, one of the games of the season.
And you just wonder whether City will have regrets about this season in terms of, yes, they'll win the league, but maybe they could have done something more in the Champions League. And then I guess Liverpool will be thinking, they might win the Champions League, but they maybe have a couple of regrets over the actual league, thinking what else could we have done? Those 2 draws maybe against your Leicesters and your West Hams. Does it all hinge on that?
Well, yes, I mean, City are owned by the Qatari royal family. I know we're going out in Qatar today on commentary, so hi to everyone there. I'm sure the powers that be in your country are absolutely thrilled with what's happening today, but I just wonder how much the Champions League may become a holy grail. Here's Riyad Mahrez though into Aguero, chance for a 5th, blocked by Duffy and brought away by Brighton. Brighton, they've crossed the halfway line just about the first time they've been in City's half. I mean, Ederson, has he touched the ball in this? Apart from that alleged back pass, I can't think of any other situation where he has actually touched the ball. It was Locadia bursting forward for Brighton. Ederson just wipes his brow as if he's had a hectic 45 minutes. What he's doing, of course, is just letting the clock tick down. We're in the last minute of the 90. Sergio Aguero has the captain's armband round his arm, although he hasn't done it up properly, and it's flapping around a bit and looks a bit scruffy.
I think he would want Ederson to hurry up because he's one behind. Obviously, the likes of Mane and Salah. He needs another goal.
Aubameyang's got 2 today, and Mane's got 2.
That's what I mean. So there's a 3-way tie. Can he make it a 4? And I guess for Ederson, he'd be thinking, he's not going to get the Golden Glove. That's the disappointing thing for him. It's going to go to Alisson instead.
I would say it's probably. Would it be Upper Mar? You're a striker. You probably think in a different way to the way I would. Is Aguero really going to be thinking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, look, obviously, winning the league is paramount, but don't get me wrong, you'd love to finish top scorer.
Here's Knockout for Brighton. Lovely weaving run by him. Brilliant tackle, though, by Bernardo Silva. And City, as if to illustrate the way they've played all season, from a tight situation, have just played the ball by passing 3 or 4 times out of the box, and suddenly they're up to halfway with Aguero. Only 2 minutes have been added on by the 4th official, Paul Tierney, and we've had 30 seconds of that. Chris Hughton is already congratulating Pep Guardiola on the sidelines as the ball eludes Raheem Sterling and runs into the hands of Matt Ryan. Fair play to Brighton. For an hour they gave City a game, didn't they? But in the end, 2 strikes of utmost quality have undone them. Well, they've survived. They'll be in the Premier League next season, although I fear they might be among those candidates who figure fairly close to the top of the potential bookies' favourites for relegation, Brighton, particularly the way they've ended this season. Long ball forward, nothing comes of it. So Manchester City will be crowned champions of England the next time we hear 3 blasts from Michael Oliver's whistle. Again, Ederson is taking an eternity to get the ball back into play. I think maybe there's a substitution about to happen. Certainly there's a stoppage. No, there doesn't seem to be a substitution. Actually, we've had all the substitutions, so Ederson is just... So what he's doing, he was standing over the ball applauding. Anyway.
He's just wasting time, isn't it? I mean,
why is he applauding?
Andoni's got to go and press the ball, but I guess for him, they're 4-1 down. It's probably best if actually Ederson takes his time. At least they can't score from there.
That is the final whistle. Manchester City are champions of England for the 6th time in their history, the 4th time in the Premier League era, and the 2nd time in successive seasons. The first time to achieve that last feat since Manchester United 10 years ago. They did it from behind. Glenn Murray put Brighton ahead with a glancing header on 27 minutes, but you don't become champions for nothing, and City within a minute were level. Sergio Aguero on target, then a header by Aymeric Laporte to put them 2-1 up before half time, and then in the second half two glorious strikes, one from open play by Riyad Mahrez, and then a thunderous free kick by Ilkay Gundogan to make it 4-1. And so one of the most exciting title races, not just in Premier League history, but in English Football League history, comes to an end with Manchester City breaking Liverpool's hearts. Both of these two teams have had astonishing seasons. Liverpool 2-0 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers and heading for 97 points, but that's not enough. A 14th successive win for Manchester City brings them up to 98. Phil Foden, the youngster, goes across to congratulate with Sergio Aguero. He's 18 years old and he's already won the title twice, which is astonishing. City players go over to their fans behind the goal that they were attacking in the second half. Kompany, Aguero and David Silva have all won medals for the fourth time in this competition. Pep Guardiola gets the 22nd major trophy of his astonishing managerial career. And Vincent Kompany, who gave them the platform for today with that astonishing goal on Monday night against Leicester, is bouncing up and down with the rest of the City players. Guardiola and David Silva, two of the greatest Spanish football men of all time, embrace. Wonderful scenes. David, at the end of it all, you have to say Liverpool's contribution was immense and should not be underestimated. Manchester City's just a tiny bit better to take them over the line. They're worthy champions.
Oh, absolutely. Look, yes, I mean, Liverpool were fantastic as well, but you've got to say Guardiola and his team will go down in history arguably as one of the greatest City sides ever. They were fantastic, brilliant from start to finish this season. Obviously the 14-game winning run was crucial. When they needed players to come up with the goods, they did. Again, here you've seen today 4 different scorers. He made some bold calls in terms of his team selection. They all paid off. You've got to say Guardiola has been absolutely great for them. Brilliant achievement for this side.
Yeah, 1937, 1968, 2012, 2014, 2018 and now 2019 is added to the list of Manchester City title triumph. They've won the FA Cup 5 times and the League Cup 6 times to add to that. They've also won the old Cup Winners' Cup in Europe. They could win the treble this season, of course. They face Watford at Wembley in a week's time, but at the moment it's all about the title, it's all about the celebrations at the end of a long, hard season. Let's just take a moment and we'll hear what the scenes were at Anfield at full time with Russell Hargreaves.
And there is the final whistle. It's all come to an end for Liverpool, and they do narrowly miss out. We tick into the final couple of moments for Manchester City on my monitor. Their final whistle goes as well. City have won 4-1 at Brighton. They are the defending Premier League champions who've won it back-to-back. Congratulations to them. But here we focus on Liverpool. Just listen to this deafening roar at Anfield as Jurgen Klopp hugs all of his players. Sadio Mane with his 2 goals that have got him as joint golden boot winner alongside Mo Salah and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And Liverpool with all of the club legends in the director's box. Kenny Dalglish leading the applause. It's been a brilliant season. The 3rd best in Premier League history. 1 defeat in 38 games. That's the least for a team that hasn't won the title as well. It's by far the best ever second place finish in English top flight football history, not just in the Premier League. There is so much that Liverpool can be proud of.
Absolutely right, Russell Hargreaves, thank you very much indeed for that, and the best of luck to Liverpool in their Champions League final against Tottenham Hotspur. One thing you do know about Liverpool is they will not just feel sorry for themselves. They'll lick their wounds, they'll come back strong, and they'll be up for that final in Madrid on June the 1st. But here at Brighton, it's a sea of sky blue. Kolo Toure, or Yaya Toure I should say, came out wearing a smart suit, holding a microphone, working for television today, and was immediately swamped by Manchester City players who were jumping all over him, and I'd imagine that he will be as happy as anyone. He was one of the players, along with Aguero and Silva and Joe Hart and the like, who started this new era of Manchester City success. They're still out on the pitch, all of the squad celebrating, and fair play to some of the Brighton supporters who are standing up and celebrating, not celebrating but being respectful of the opponents today. There's a Manchester City fan holding up a banner behind that goal which simply says champions, and that is what Manchester City are. They've won the title by a single point from Liverpool after a 4-1 win against Brighton and Hove Albion. So they are the winners, Manchester City. We will have the trophy presentation for you live once they've built the podium and got the players to calm down a little bit, and we'll bring you that in just a moment. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway, is the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick here! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling. What a player this young man is.
Tries to play it forward. Hayward puts it up in the air. Comes down. Chance for 3-2. It is 3-2. Perez scores again. Well, it's times to be a Geordie fan from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Really good delivery from Locke. Here's the ball into the back of the net. And Antone has scored for Brighton. There is the breakthrough.
And Wolves win possession to Jimenez. Jimenez is going to go himself. There's another chance here. Come for 2-0 possibly. Jimenez! Raul Jimenez, 2-0 to Wolves. And Cardiff are now all at sea.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
This time trying to find Lukaku. It's broken his way, and Lukaku's bent it into the bottom corner for what may well prove to be the winning goal in the final minute of the 90.
He's usually unerring from the spot, Harry Kane. He's scored all his last 5 spot kicks. He faces Bernd Leno and scores again! And Tottenham Hotspur have levelled with 16 minutes to go. Harry Kane has now got 9 goals in 9 games against the Gunners. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Arsenal 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back. The Manchester City players are back in the dressing room. We were lucky enough to have a camera there. We saw on our monitor some of the celebrations. They were jumping up and down as you'd expect. Pep Guardiola was the last member of the Manchester City consignment to enter that dressing room, and any moment now they will be out and in receipt of medals and, more importantly, the trophy itself on this final day of Premier League action.
Mella, it's going to be a left-footed in-swinging corner from the former Roma man. Here it comes, left-footed to loop in one. Zuma doesn't get on it. It might break it for Dyer. It does. It's hammered into the bottom corner. and 2.5 minutes on the clock. It's the former Everton man, Eric Dyer, who hammers it into the back of the net for 1-0 Spurs.
Shelvey on the volley. Oh, that's a terrific goal. John Joe Shelvey took it down and swept it into the top corner, and it's swept home, and it is a second. It's Eze Perez. He's on fire at the moment, and Newcastle United scored 2 in the space of a minute and a half.
Here's Noble up to the edge of the penalty area for West Ham. It's a mazy run, and it's a beautiful finish by Mark Noble. The captain scores his 50th career goal for West Ham United.
Alexander-Arnold, nice 1-2 with Henderson. Edge of the penalty area, deflected, cross, goal! Sadio Mane puts Liverpool ahead. And the cross at the Amex, it's still goalless. So as things stand, I'll whisper it quietly, Liverpool would be winning the Premier League. Wow.
Della's got to be careful. And what's John Moss said here? He said penalty kick to Cardiff. Mendes-Lang scores. David De Gea goes the wrong way.
There's a chance, and it's a goal. It's Michy Batshuayi who has fired Crystal Palace ahead here at Selhurst Park.
Here comes the corner. It's going to be an in-swinger, and they're both there, Duncan Duffy. It's a use one. It's in. Glenn Murray, I think, got the touch at the near post. And Brighton and Hove Albion have the lead against champions-elect Manchester City. Oh, what drama are we in for today, I wonder? Here's Aguero looking to get them level straight.
Still in love on the same branch and leaves, wild and free, living here in harmony. Don't you see, this is where you want to be. When you leave, the world is never what it seems. If only we could travel back in time, whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why, whoa, dancing till the dawn. If only we could travel back in time, whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why, whoa, dancing till the dawn. I wanna know your dark side. I wanna know your secrets. I wanna be your lifeline. So I wait for you, wait for me. Wait for you, wait for me. Tell me you're more than just a highlight. Pretty pictures on the outside. I hate to stare at you through these lights. So I wait for you, wait for me. Wait for you, wait for me. Click and scroll, I can't let you go. They say I'm addicted to you. Click and scroll, I can't let you go. They say I'm addicted to you. Oh, oh, this ain't love, no, no. This ain't love, no, no. This is artificial. This ain't love, no, no. This ain't love, no, no. This is artificial. I wanna know you inside and out. Wanna know what's behind the light. Wanna feel that real love from within. Let me in. I want real love, real hearts. You're just enough to get me through, get me through. 'Cause you're officially perfect for me. So wait for you, wait for you. Up all night thinking, passing the time, anxiously waiting. You're mine, losing and winning. You can't get it right. Hoping you see me for more than just night. Up all night thinking, am I on your mind? Will you come meet me and change my life? This love could be deeper. travel back in time. Whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why. Whoa, dancing till the dawn. If only we could travel back in time. Whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why. Whoa, dancing till the dawn. Born from the same branch and leaves, wild and free, living here in harmony. Don't you see? This is where you want to be. But when you leave, the world is never what it seems. If only we could travel back in time. Whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why. Whoa, dancing till the dawn. If only we could travel back in time. Whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why. Whoa, dancing till the dawn. You